And you can check mic levels on that, so you can tell
Yep.
if I just tell me closer or whatever, and I'm not gonna do all David Cassidy. I don't think.
No, man, you're not gonna. Does David Cassidy do that? Does he
Is
just
it the Partridge Family?
take the mic off? Yeah. Yeah, that's good. No, I think we're.
If I have to, I will. What most people do, just talking to the mic.
Yeah, that's and I've got audio levels on this, so I can control what we're getting here basically. And I did a couple of tests. I don't think you're going to talk any louder than I would normally talk. And I did a couple of test recordings before you got here.
But I got broadcast experience, buddy. I know how to talk into a mic.
Yes,
Their
you
soap
do.
operas suck. So because of that.
All right. Well, we're going to go live on the audio. We're already live on the video world, so let's have some audio here. All right. 3, 2. Hey guys, how you doing? I always ask them questions that they can't answer. You know, it's not like they can tell me how
Somebody's
they're
talking
doing.
back.
Somebody's talking back.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine, Kelsey.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So, guys, this voice that you hear that you haven't heard before is Brother Jimmy Feuger, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, thanks for the good pronunciation. A lot of people get that wrong. Even that have known me as long as you have. They Jimmy Feuger, Jimmy whatever, but you nailed it.
Feuger. It's like I say it like it's spelled. I even put the E first.
Attaboy. I just let it go. So, however, but I appreciate the spelling.
Yeah, man. So sorry it's taking so long to get you here, seeing as you're the king of radio.
I wouldn't say I'm the king of radio, but I maybe the I don't even know.
The crown prince of radio, the prime minister of radio.
My radio broadcasting days are long gone, but I still go on the air a little bit. But that's how I got my start in the radio business.
I was just going to ask you, how did you get into the radio industry?
You know what? I was finishing up college. I went to Georgia Southern, shout out.
Georgia Southern.
And which was right outside Savannah, and I'm from Savannah, and I was finishing up, and a buddy of mine who had graduated from Georgia Tech, who actually had really good pipes as far as talking and stuff, but his goal was to be a sportscaster, and his father owned an advertising agency in Savannah, and he knew I was good at this one football school in Savannah.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, can you talk to your old coach, who's the athletic director? My father will lease the time on a radio station, and we'll broadcast the games.
Okay.
So I went to my high school football coach, and he was like, I don't care.
So you started off calling football games?
High school games.
That's fucking awesome.
High school games. And so we started, and this is why I was telling you it's important to air check, because, you know, we were so cool. We started doing these high school football games, and then I listened to an air check of myself. I was like, oh, we're fucking horrible, man.
Yeah.
We're horrible. And the guy was really good, but we were just doing too many, you know, we were talking over people and blah, blah, blah. Well, we ended up getting, and I don't want to brag too much, but we ended up being pretty damn good. And he was tight, and I was kind of humorous. We were very good. We had where we didn't talk over each other. And we were definitely for the high school, shout out Benedictine Cadets.
Shout out.
Yeah. We were very much for the high school to win, but we tried to do it as neutral, because back then, you're talking, I was 22, 23, 27 years ago.
That's not a whole lot of, that's not in the thought process of a 22-year-old is to be non-biased.
Well, this guy, it wasn't biased. We just sounded like shit when we first started. It was just like, oh my God, they're going, oh God. You know, we were just, it was terrible.
Well, I do love local broadcasting sports calls. Because they're so passionate about it, like you say, and you get like a nice run or whatever, and you're freaking out and getting like hot on the volume or whatever,
Well, Rusty Fredericks, who did the games with me, he didn't go to the high school. He went to a rival high school, so he didn't care less. He was there for the craft. But me, I was there. You know, that was my school, and
you're
that was my thing.
passionate about it.
And they were terrible. They had some off years, and when we got there the first year, they were terrible. But then they got really good, and now they're a juggernaut now. I mean, they're a powerhouse. But we just developed, and then after that, we got a call-in show. Then there were some college games around the area. They got us to broadcast them, and it just kind of morphed. And then this radio group, I was just doing this part-time. And then this radio started, which I'm not a big fan of, but I don't want to get myself in trouble with my current job. Radio started expanding, where they changed the rules where you could have more than 2 stations in a market.
Okay.
And somebody came to me and said, "Hey, man, I think you'd be really good selling."
Now, is that like was that the beginning stages of, say, like this one group has 5 stations?
Yes,
That
yes,
was the
yeah.
beginning stages
It
of
used to
that.
be.
Okay.
I don't know the rules because I wasn't in there, but I think it used to be you could have one AM and one FM in the city,
Okay.
in your city grade, and then they did it where you could have 4 FMs and one AM. But they've circumvented these rules so much. But we can get
Yeah,
into
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
whole
yeah.
different story. And I don't really because I don't.
Yeah, I know with
I
your
work for iHeart.
profession.
Love you, iHeart.
Yeah.
So this guy came to me and said, "Hey, listen, man, you're so outgoing. You're this and that. You're doing this. Why don't you come work for us and sell? And you can still do this stuff on the side for us."
Yeah.
And then just kind of morphed. And then 26 years later, I'm running stations and
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You picked up Florence too after
I'm
the
running Myrtle Beach and Florence. And it's so funny because 15 years ago, it's hard to believe I've been here for 15 years. I came here as a stepping stone. And I was like, because I was young when I got my first GM gig. I was 35 years old. And that's relatively young to be running a market.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to get here, get this gig, and then 2 years I'm gone. And you'd have to pry me out of here now. I mean, I love it. I love living here.
Why would anybody go anywhere else? I say that all the time.
The money's good. I mean, there's guys making more money in our industry than I am, and there's bigger jobs.
But they don't live here.
No, they don't live here. I wear a golf shirt to work every day.
They don't live here.
Fridays wear shorts and flip flops. And you know what? And it's quite normal. I wore a tie when I first moved here. I used to wear a tie to work, but I felt like a fool. I mean, I was like walking in the place and I'm sweating
and not only that, you're in the radio industry. You're probably around a bunch of fucking goofballs in this thing anyway. So like you're definitely out of place if you're dressed like that.
And there's not every banker wears a tie. Like David Rhodes over at South Atlantic, who does a lot of my banking. I don't see David in a tie or does he wear a tie?
You know what? I really don't. I saw David a while ago, and I don't even really think about it.
He dresses nice.
Considering how I dress, I don't really look at what other people wear.
But outside of the banking and maybe some lawyers, I don't see a lot of ties around.
Not anymore, man. It's moving out. Babe Ruth didn't even wear a tie to the induction of the Hall of Fame, the original Hall of Fame.
I did not know that, but at least he's not like Terrell Owens and just skipping it.
Yeah.
So I moved here. I'm here for 2 years. My original goal was when I moved here was to get back to Savannah, to be a general manager, because I just kind of did an evolution. I was in Savannah for however many years, and then I needed a major market experience, so I moved to Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
And I was in Jacksonville for a few years, and then this upstart company, which became Quantum, just called me out of the blue and asked me if I wanted to work for them as a director of sales. I was here for about a year with a guy named Michael Meeks as a market manager, and Meeks unfortunately got let go or left. I can't remember the reason. So long ago, 14 years ago, and then I got promoted up. And I was going to do 2 years.
So attrition.
Yes, and I was going to do 2 years and leave. And I ended up meeting my wife and opening up this little establishment down the street. And we love it here. My wife's family's from here, and I'm only from 3 hours down the road.
This place is unlike a lot of other places. And I haven't been to a lot of other places, but at least I know that this one's different than the rest of them.
Yeah, and speaking of this place, I got offered the job that I really wanted to. I turned it down in Savannah. I got offered the job.
Man.
When I got on the plane, I went to this group in Atlanta, and they offered me the position. I got on the plane. I was like, I'm gone. I'm going back home. And then I got here and started thinking about living here. And I was like, what are you thinking of? You've got it good here. And Savannah's always going to be my home, and I love Savannah. But I'm an inlet guy.
100%. The inlet does that to people.
It does. We've got a group. We've got kind of an extended group that's pretty eclectic, and everybody is close friends. And you can't have that in a lot of places. And and going to Tito's and talking, I know you and Wes talked about it a lot last week. It's such a bizarre group of guys that just mesh so well.
Yeah, I have that written down right here. It's funny you use that word. I don't know if there was a more eclectic cast of characters than the Tito's crew.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's how you and I met.
Exactly. Like I remember, I think I started doing Sundays when we first got the NFL ticket.
Yeah.
I remember when we first got the NFL ticket, we started opening for Sundays, and I was the Sunday bartender for, I don't know, a few months until I started picking up random happy hours. Yeah. But then it got down to where it was just me for a long time.
Yeah, you were the guy. It was you and I corresponding and just kind of figuring things out.
Yeah, well, that was the coolest part about Tito's is that none of us knew what we were doing.
Well, that's somebody. Stoney gets Stoney and I are 50-50 partner.
Yeah.
And the way it started out, let me just get the story out there. The original idea was kind of Stoney and Adams, and they were looking for a financial partner with it. And Adam's investment was going to be Ashley Justice, who's as creative and
Yes.
smart, and everything was going to run the bar for us. And it was going to be she had a ladies' boutique there in the dressing room.
In the dressing room.
And so we changed it, and Ashley was going to run it. And Ashley actually ran it for probably at least 6 months. And then she got pregnant early, and then she had Cruz, and Stoney was like, well, she's going to come back. And I was like, Stoney, she's not coming back. And, she had her little deal going across the street at
Dockside. Yeah.
and then she had Cruz at the house. And I just, a bar is not what she needs. And no offense, I'm not putting Ashley down.
Yeah.
Ashley's so much better than Tito's.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well,
Yeah,
she's doing great things now with beauty
But she
kind of
is,
stuff
and
anyway.
so Ashley kind of morphed out because she had kids. Man, it's hard, and I'll say this: I know you're not drinking anymore, and I've really I still go at it hard occasionally, but I've really cut back now that I have kids.
Well, it's a different world now.
It's a different world.
You have more, and I don't have this, but I know enough people who do to where I can recognize that you actually have something to live for. Like back before you have kids and all this shit, it's like fuck it, I'll drink until I die. It doesn't really matter. Now you think a little more about shit like that.
Well, so Ashley steps out of the way, and she still tried to help. She was helping as much as she could. She was doing the taxes. She was doing all kinds of stuff, and like I said, I don't know how many people. I know most people listening to your podcast know Ashley. I mean, she literally, it's just amazing the stuff she can do. And and so we lose that. And she'd still, if I called Ashley to this day, she'd help. But so I didn't really. There was no book. She did it naturally because she and Adam had another bar before.
Yeah.
So they knew the business a little bit. And then you and I didn't know anything.
I knew nothing, dude.
Man, I didn't know anything.
Adam worked one shift with me, and that was it. And
that's the good thing is, Adam still comes by there and they still have that machine business on the side, and we use them, and it's Stoney's brother, and Adam will jump behind the bar if we're busy and slammed. But so Ashley leaves, and then we're just trying to figure things out. And so my point of the thing is, somebody said, hey, y'all should franchise Uncle Tito's. It's so cool. And I'm a realist, but it was near. And the realist is like, this is lightning in the bottle over here, buddy. This isn't one thing. We're lucky.
Yeah.
It took us 4 years to get busy.
Yeah.
And I said, and what's the owner's manual going to say? Just fucking wing it?
Just wing it, because that's what we did. Is that how to be successful?
Be successful is
keep showing
up, low overhead, which we had.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite was when Short Bar went out of business.
Dude, that was the day it happened.
That was the day it happened. And Short Bar went out of business, and they were putting all that shit outside.
And
you go, hey man, Short Bar's putting out. I said, I'll be there in a minute. We need bar stools. And you and I went over there and took all the bar stools from outside.
Yep.
And put them inside, and they lasted us a while.
Yeah, those old white wicker ones.
Yeah, I say 2 reasons why our bar really made it. One, I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for Blair because when everybody was going to Short Bar, Blair was marching her ass over to us and bringing a little bit of people with her. And back then, it didn't take us much to make rent.
No, not at all.
And so, and Blair, and when everybody was following, and Blair she was like the Pied Piper. She had maybe 8 or 9 people that would come with her.
100%.
And remember, if we did our goal was like $300 or $400 a day.
If we did that, we were good.
Man, 400, we were slapping.
We were good. That was our goal. That was our goal.
It was like 200 on weekdays and 400 on the weekends is what we needed.
As a matter of fact, I told Wes in the last podcast, I don't know if you listened to it or not, but I told Wes, I was like, dude, you remember I would just get back there and I would just get so fucking drunk that I would give so much shit away.
Ring it up, Kelsey. I used to yell that all the time.
I know. I would take my tips at the end of the night and I would just ring in as much as it would take to ring in to get to that 300 or 400.
You would, and by the way, we know, and this was years ago, so statute of limitations. Drinking behind the bar is illegal.
Yes, we know.
And it's strictly enforced at Tito's now.
100%. Now,
when we were winging it,
we've talked about all kinds of things we used to get away with.
It was more than 7 years ago, so I'm assuming the statute of limitations has to run out. But I remember one because I never really got mad at you because I knew you weren't ringing everything up because I knew you weren't stealing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were trying to figure out being a bartender. You were trying to pay rent too, just like we were.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were you would take the order, you would give it to them. And before you go back and ring it up, somebody start talking to you, and you'd forget.
I would, like, and I'm just, I'm so.
You remember that one night? I remember it was like Georgia played Tech and Clemson and Carolina were playing, and we were crowded. You were in there, you were dealing with everybody, and I was yelling, "Ring it up!" And then for the rest of the day, everybody was like, "Ring it up, Kelsey!"
They said "Ring it up, Kelsey" till the end of my tenure at Tito's. I think.
Yeah, because it was
Summit especially.
Oh man, and I heard you guys talking about OGs at Tito's. Would Summit be an OG?
Summit has to be NOG because he was the one that came in every single day.
Every by himself.
He would call me at like 3:45 and be like, "Hey man, you going to be there at 4?"
Well, he came back just recently for Dennis DiSabato's 40th birthday party, and he came down to Tito's one night. He was like, "Man, it's just gone a long way since I was here for happy hours," and it's amazing how busy that bar's got.
Yeah, it really has. And I was going to bring that up. Me and Wes were talking about it. It's we walk in there and it's like, is this ours still?
It's ours. It's everybody.
You know,
that's a locals bar. You know,
yeah,
it's a locals bar. We went through a stretch where we were getting. We were getting a little bit of fights in there, which, we used to have the motto, if you got into a fight, you were banned for life.
Yeah, done.
Yeah,
done.
And,
back then I was in there every night to kind of keep an eye on shit too. So
well, and I think, knock on wood, we haven't had a fight in there in a long time.
Yeah.
And we've been a little bit tougher with the crowd as far as, we used to just keep it going as long as we could. Now it's like last call, 1:35, everybody out at 2.
Yep.
Occasionally they might stay open a little bit later here and there, but Stoney and I came to the realization that after 2 o'clock, when you can't serve liquor. It's just beer only.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing good. So you're not going to make a lot of money selling beer only. And the stuff that's going on at that
just
time,
people that's going to get pissed off that they can't get a shot.
Yeah, that or some extracurricular stuff on top of that.
Exactly.
And then somebody's trying to nail somebody's girlfriend. And then the younger you get, the better chance of a fight's happening.
Yeah,
and most people, nothing good happens after 11.
Nothing good happens. Yeah, and I'm 100% that I'll be down at Tito's, and once I see the crowd shuffle in, I'm like,
well, we're old for that crowd, Kelsey. I'm really old.
Yeah, well, I'm getting there, dude. I was young in
like
the beginning.
A 25-year-old crowd, a 24-year-old crowd, and they're good people, and I appreciate everyone.
And I'll say this. You 25-year-olds, you never had the opportunity to outdrink any of us in our prime.
You got me now. I can't do those shots anymore. I did a couple shots Saturday.
There was a time.
There was a time when I was right there.
There was a time when, dude, we used to get. I remember I went shot for shot with everybody in the bar for every shot that I served. Multiple, like a lot of.
I love hearing this.
Like a lot of the times.
Doing this.
Listen, these were statute of limitations. Statute of limitations
is gone. Talk about the monkey machine, which actually helped keep us in business.
Yes,
but we got busted. So
and
as far as I'm concerned, we've did our thing.
We've paid our dues
with it. And I will say this: one of the joys of being busy is no monkey machine.
Yes,
when we got busted and they shut us down for 15 days.
Yep.
And Sonny and I were like, let's don't bring this thing back in here. We don't need it anymore. But there was a time where the monkey machine helped keep us in business. And yes, as South Carolina Department of Revenue, you got all your money back from that. We evened out.
Yes, we good.
Yes, and the statute of limitations, I assume, was out on that too.
I was there that night.
The night that Brian helped him load it up in the car.
I mean, I did too.
I was like, damn, Brian.
You know what? There was nothing that could be done, and there was nothing that could be done.
Brian just basically handed him the cash register that night too.
They went behind. No, I was there. They went. And I don't know. Can we talk about this?
You know what? We might want to stop.
Yeah,
that's when Kelsey's drinking water and I might be having a Miller Lite at Tito's. We'll tell that story.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if it is, but it was a very awkward story.
Yeah.
But you know what? We were breaking the law. We got caught.
We did.
There was a lot of people breaking the law back then. I mean, there was.
Dude, well, they that one summer they cut all of it out.
It's gone. You don't see it anywhere.
Never, nowhere.
It's been about 4 years, 5 years.
Yep.
It's been at least that long.
Well, it was at least 2.5. I think I might have just quit drinking, so it was probably about 2.5 years.
3 years in January that we had to shut down, and when we got busted, it took about a year and a half for the at least a year and a half for like the red tape to catch up with us, where we had to.
Okay.
Close down.
Yeah.
Because I remember we closed down and we reopened the night that Carolina lost in the Super Bowl to Denver. I think we were open.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then because we had to be open for the college cook-off.
Yeah.
So it was. There's a lot of stories in that place. I mean, there really is, and I know there's a lot of inside jokes, but Jesus Christ, they're funny.
Dude, that's the thing about Tito's is that not a lot of people will understand it was you can compare it to anything you saw on TV, but on steroids. Like Cheers,
Well,
that
the
that
shit
crowd or
talking
whatever.
that goes in there. I mean, there's some pretty original.
That's what it was.
Will Hanna, Wes, Summit,
Yeah.
Stoney,
Stone-
Adam can get right
Yeah.
there in the middle of it too.
For a little while.
Ford.
Henry Ford was my best friend when we were like my best drinking buddy.
Yeah, Henry Ford. God, there's got to be some. I like to think I was okay at it.
Yeah, you were great, man. You were good. Some of your radio crew was good. Adam's good.
Mad Max was funny. When he come
Max
in
was
there.
good. Satterfield was fun to pick on.
God, he had no sense of humor, man. I love Satterfield. He still does have no sense of humor, so we're still pictured. But Jesus Christ, he's thin-skinned.
He's fun to pick on.
He is. But he didn't realize he took it serious.
He's not near as fun to pick on.
As Repack.
Yep. Did you hear minutes 1 through 7, Wes?
Well, listen, John Repack. First of all, I was telling my wife when I was talking about being on the show, I was like, I feel so bad for Repack, and the reason I do is he's a really nice guy,
The nicest guy.
and
You're losing your mic there.
went limp. And he will do anything for you, and he just leaves himself so wide open.
Yeah.
That if I left myself wide open, I expect you guys to jump me like that.
Yeah. I mean,
I told Repack, and I was like, listen, man, if I ever cross the line, you got to tell me. And I said, how many times did he tell you, I'm leaving, man. I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
Like after we're picking on him or just in a night? Like, I guess I'm going to close my tab.
He never leaves like, man, I'm pissed at you guys. I'm leaving.
Yeah. He's like, all right, man, well, I guess I'm going to close my tab for like 2 hours.
Well, he heard close it. He ain't going to pay it. But he's going to close the tab. Whenever we need like an errand run, if Repack's there, I'll say, hey, get Repack to run up there and tell him I'll wipe off that first tab he's got because I'll be 6 in the system.
Yeah.
He's like Norm on Cheers that doesn't pay his tab.
And not only that, we're one of the few bars left that will because every bar used to do that, where you could run tabs.
Well, we don't. First of all, I don't like running tabs, but
that's an old school thing.
Well, it's if we know you. Like I know Repack's coming back. I know Wes is coming back. I know Brooks coming back. Brooks a ball buster.
Brooks good.
A ball buster. I can't believe we left him out of that group.
Me neither. I'm sorry, Brooke. He's been on this podcast.
Yeah, he is funny as shit. He really is. And then if it's a regular guy and we know they're coming in all the time, we don't like. But you know what? But if some Joe Blow comes in and spends $80 and he's gone, they got to pay it.
See, what's funny is there were times when the regular crew would be sitting at the bar and we'd see some people who are not regulars walk up to the door, and when they'd open the door, we'd say the most ridiculous, heinous thing you can imagine, and then they would just turn around and walk out.
I mean, how about when we haven't executed a good one now because people are onto us. Silent treatment. When silent treatment's done right, y'all talking about Chicken Mike leaving there pissed off one time. July 4th, I remember we gave him the silent treatment, and he was livid.
This year?
No, it was like 3 years ago. And I remember he walked in there, and it's silent treatment, and he comes in and he talked to like 4 people. And it used to be, if the silent treatment is if we see you walking in the bar and like Kelsey's walking in, all right, nobody talk to Kelsey. It's the first person to talk to Kelsey, got to buy everybody a shot.
Yep.
And usually I'm the one that yells that, and then I go piss. So,
yeah.
So that way it'd give about 45 seconds. And so we did that at Chicken Mike, and he stood out there before Anita. Anita's really lighting Chicken Mike up. And he stood out there in the middle of the thing, and he was like, well, fuck you then. Nobody will speak to me.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah, and you may have still been working. I don't think you were, but you may have still been working there that night. And it was like at 7 o'clock, and I remember we had Brian Connor from Villanova was singing, and Abel was spinning.
Yeah,
they were kind of doing a back and forth thing. So he got really, really livid. And Chicken Mike, he can take a hard time. We don't give him as hard a time as Repack, but he's up there in the top 5 of catching shit.
I believe in the peak of picking on Chicken Mike, we may have hit him as hard as Repack.
In the peak.
Do you remember that time that he got up and walked out and like Summit went out and hugged him and was like, dude, we love you, Mike. We're literally just fucking with you.
When he dated that one girl for a long time, hopefully I'm not putting his business out. And when they broke up, he was upset. That's why I'm saying Mike, and I never knew that girl, but Mike pre-Anita and post-Anita is two totally different people.
100%.
And Anita's been great for Mike.
Yep.
So, and Anita's awesome. She comes in there a lot. We don't. You notice we take a lot of dudes' names. We thought about changing the name to Tito's and having like you know how you have church and you have Tito's and the S coming across, and we're gonna have a cock house.
Because it was just all bunch of dudes.
Yeah, it was a bunch of dudes. And remember, it'd be like, there's never a woman in here. And
I remember.
You could tell your wife. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. You could tell your wife or your girlfriend you're going to Tito's, and they don't get mad because there's no women there.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is we used to make the joke that it was everybody's favorite gay bar because it was just dudes.
Oh man! But think about it. We used to do silent treatment.
Yeah.
I'm probably the only owner or co-owner of a bar that allowed the bathroom to get liquid ass one time.
Oh man,
that was awful.
Who did that? Who ordered that?
That was my buddy Chris Seffner from Savannah.
That's right.
Who came in and liquid assed the bathroom, and I remember Big Jacob was working that time.
Big Jacob,
and he caught a hard time.
Man, we gave him
crucified him.
We had no pun intended.
Yes.
We had church in there every Wednesday because Henry Ford, Jacob was Jewish, and Henry Ford had never met anybody who was Jewish before, and he was just amazed by all of the stuff that Jewish people did in their religious practices and whatnot. And Henry Ford was just amazed by this. We caught it going to church every Wednesday.
Oh God, there's a few things about Jacob that I remember with that. I remember one time on Good Friday he was working, and we were giving him shit about killing Jesus, which is awful.
It is awful, but we did this.
Well, going back to the liquid ass. So Seffner liquid ass the bathroom, and everybody's going, oh God, what's wrong? Well, Jacob got in there, and Jacob he never cleaned. And he got in there and he scrubbed the bathroom while we were open because I think he had Chef Tony watch the bar. Chef Tony, top 5 of catching shit.
I'm not going to do it. I almost did it.
So Jacob goes and mops the bathroom and does everything. And he's like, man, I can't get that smell out of there. And then I tell the Seffner, I said, Jesus, he's just cleaned the shit out of that bathroom. Go spray the woman's room.
Dude, I can't figure it out.
And so he cleans the women's room and he goes, man, their smell's not going away. I think we need to call a plumber. And I was like, no, man, we liquid ass the bathroom. And everyone was,
yeah.
But it worked to it, too.
You got the bathrooms cleaned.
Oh, my God.
See, that story is Tito's. That's the trickery involved in making this place clean.
Oh, it's. I remember y'all were talking the story about the writing on the bathroom wall. I remember I had a coworker.
God, you got so pissed every time we would start writing on the wall.
Wall.
I know.
You know. But side story, a lot of times I'd write the stuff.
I stopped.
I wrote a lot of stuff on there, and a lot of times I'd feed somebody with the idea of what to write on the wall. Because Will Hanna was the worst too.
Yeah,
Will Hanna wrote. He was the one that did Wes Standish did me right in the ladies' room.
That was the best one. Wes talked about that. That's the best one.
There's one in the ladies' room now that there's no doubt that a woman had to get on another woman's shoulder to write it up there. It's so high. I can't remember what it says, but it's written up like right under the ceiling. And then I was always going back to the writing. I was always a big fan of the glory holes.
The glory holes were so good. It was just you do like a giant glory hole, like about a 5-inch diameter glory hole, and then you do like a dot for Wes or Chicken Mike.
What bar prides himself on having a glory hole?
I mean, not many. It's like that's not the sort of thing that you usually brag about. But we were not the normal bar by any means.
There used to be a bar in Savannah we used to go to. And it was kind of nice, and we didn't go there that much. But I'd come out of the men's room, and I'd see a line, and I'd be like, "Dude, man, there's a bidet in that men's room."
Yeah.
And there really wasn't a bidet in a men's room. I don't think at the time I even knew what a bidet looked like.
Yeah.
And so I remember one time I'd said something about, Uncle Tito's, we got a glory hole in the men's room, and then boom, it just went viral.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was funny. And by the way, it wasn't an actual glory hole. It was just a big Sharpie circle.
It wasn't a glory hole. It was. Unless you, it was. But there was, but it got to the point where we were having a 40th birthday party. This guy, a buddy of mine who happens to be gay, because we're all talk. We're very inclusive,
yes.
And we are. I mean,
I actually had a bullet point written that I didn't know if we could tell a lot of these stories as to not sound homophobic.
Listen, I am honest to God, I am as socially inclusive as can be. But
Yeah.
funny's funny.
Funny, exactly.
You
Everything's
know,
safe in the name of comedy, I believe.
Yeah, and funny's funny. We're not being racist, and we're not being. But some people wrote some homophobic stuff on the wall.
Yeah.
And I remember said this guy calls me and is like, "Hey, I want to throw and they're married now, the two dudes, and I want to throw his party."
Yeah, he used to come in all the time and watch football with me.
Yeah, but
on Sundays.
He was a big Falcons fan.
Yep.
I'll say his name because he doesn't care. Ron Roberts. And so Ron's having his party there. His husband's throwing the party, and I'm like, "Oh, you can have the party, but I gotta clean up this bathroom." Because it had somebody wrote Taj Boy, likes little boys.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I changed it to Taj Boy likes the Dallas Cowboys.
I think that I was commissioned
we went in
with,
there and we were like,
fixing all of the things.
And, I mean, there was nothing in there like, we hate homos or anything like that. There was nothing in there. Because, first of all, we wouldn't have tolerated anything like that.
We're not Westboro at all.
No, not at all. And, and truth be told, and we won't say the name, we used to have a rule and we enforced it. If you got into a fight in Tito's, you were gone. And Henry wiped the floor with somebody for being a racist. And remember how bad he felt? We were like, dude,
Yeah, well, I talked to somebody about that guy the other day, and about the reason why we don't like that guy was because of the monkey machine. You remember he used to come in and just pump it full of money and just pull out all the tickets and
he'd sit there all
ruin
night
it for everybody else.
And Big Jacob hated that guy. And that was when I had Big Jacob's back on. But that's the thing of not being too tough. I don't want to go too far down that line. But,
yeah, exactly.
But, we say things in there, but we wouldn't cross a line, and we would never do any hate thing on people. And it was never that bad. I mean, it was never – I think about the most homophobic thing in there was Taj Boys, like Taj Boys,
probably.
I don't even know who wrote that.
It was some Carolina fan.
Well, no, they own Taj Boyd, though. Didn't they beat him like 3 years in a row or something? Remember they had the 4 years in a row where they beat Clemson and
they've still lived on that.
Yeah, and then they were going for. Did they win 5 and they were going for 6? I can't remember. I don't know.
I don't know. I got a sore spot with South Carolina because of the only time we've been to Williams-Brice Stadium. It didn't work out so well for us.
Listen, they play Georgia tough every year, and I'm a Georgia fan, and I got to give South Carolina fans credit and I don't mean this because they've won baseball and they went to the Final Four in basketball, but honest to God, they've never until a few years ago won anything in football. And they pack that stadium every week, and they go in there. They go in there, and it's a good time, and but I got to give them credit for that.
Oh shit, that sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know if they can hear that, but a little thunder in the background.
I bet they saw the lightning strike in the window because I saw it out the corner of my eye. But dude, that's absolutely true. And I was thinking about this until they had. I'm not counting equestrian or chess championships or whatever the fuck you got. But until they had those baseball championships, South Carolina literally had nothing. But their fan base, especially because so many people who do you remember Todd that used to come into Tito's a lot? His dad,
I remember Todd, yes.
Who moved down, they're both Carolina fans because everybody's Carolina fans here.
There's no bandwagon. You jump on that bandwagon.
That's sort of like, if you're a Browns fan, it's not like there's no bandwagon there.
No, and I married into it and it morphs pretty well. I think that Wes because Wes is my brother-in-law, of course.
Yeah.
And I married his sister Katie, and hey Wes, and but it really doesn't bother me. And honest to God, every game that Carolina plays, if it doesn't affect Georgia, I pull for them.
Yeah, I like Carolina above Clemson.
But they hate Georgia. It's Clemson and then Georgia. That's their rivalry. And my wife gets mad at me because being a Georgia fan, now granted, since we've been dating the first few years, when Spurrier got there, things kind of changed. But I tried to tell her it's in Georgia in no particular order. You got Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia Tech, then maybe Carolina, and so she didn't understand why they hate. And I was just like, Whereas Carolina, it's Clemson and Georgia. And they lost to Georgia in a bunch of bullshit ways. I mean, a bunch. I mean, like Pollock stealing that ball, the guys, on the fumble, guys fumble on the one. I mean, they lost to Georgia in a lot of ways that were just, I'd probably hate them too, for the same way. But they beat us pretty good recently, though.
Well, what's funny about South Carolina is that I believe that I don't know that they'll ever get a championship. That's yet to be determined. But still, I believe that their biggest win's going to be Alabama.
Well, you can't really get bigger than that. They were the number one team in the country.
And not only that, you know the starters that were on that team?
Alabama's been loaded since Saban's been there.
And will be until he dies,
and then,
probably. I don't know about this year, though.
I think they'll be fine. And then that was a kick-ass time for Carolina. They had Lattimore. They had
Garcia.
Was
Clowney on there? He was a freshman, I think.
Melvin Ingram was a beast, man.
Alshon
was they had some studs.
Yep.
And the thing was, and I think Melvin Ingram is too, but all those guys are from, not Garcia, but all those other guys are from South Carolina.
I said this too. They should have gave Garcia just a cooler of beer and a bottle of vodka and let the boy play football because he was so good drunk.
Oh, man. One of my favorite Steve Spurrier stories was they were about to play, I think, Florida State in a bowl game, and I guess they caught Garcia with a couple of girls in his room. And they were like, well, Coach, what do you want to do? And he said, I want you to take him. And he had two trainers take him to a treadmill. I don't know if this is actually true, but I know Carolina fans have heard the story, and it's an awesome urban legend. If it's not, Spurrier had him go to a treadmill because he was drunk, and they ran him till he puked. And they let him play in the game. That's old school. You're handling your stuff in-house.
Just run him till he gets it out of his system and give him a football.
They put him in that thing, and he just went faster.
And then he'll get out there and throw darts.
Yeah, and I think they got crushed in that game. But because I think they played a loaded Florida State. That was the same year I think they beat Alabama.
Yeah. Well, there was a urban legend that he was out at 5 points pounding shots the night before he beat us.
I'm sure he was. That dude didn't give a shit. He really didn't care, man.
He was in college for real. He didn't give a shit that he played football and everybody saw
it. He was like some out of the 70s and 60s and stuff, man. You're right. He just didn't care. And he was right when social media started really getting huge. And,
that's true. I didn't think about that aspect of it.
Because I honest to God, I think social media was out there with your MySpaces and stuff. But I don't think until really about 2008 is when it just started things catching and and going nuts. And was Twitter around that 8?
It was all of that happened at about the same time.
Yeah, it's about 10 years.
So as soon as MySpace was replaced with Facebook and Twitter,
and now you got everything. You got
Vine, and whatever the fuck.
You got Vine. You got Snapchat.
Yeah, Snapchat.
I feel like an old man doing Facebook now because none of the kids do Facebook anymore.
Well, I've started doing Instagram a lot more. Instagram and Twitter a lot more than Facebook. I've noticed that on Twitter and Facebook or Twitter and Instagram that I don't see near the political bullshit that I don't care to hear. And I'm not saying political bullshit. I don't mind political news, which I can get from Twitter, but I just mean people's opinions that I don't really value on certain things outside of Facebook.
Well, the thing about Facebook and people on that is nobody's going to change anybody's mind.
Yes.
And these people are just
wasting breath, basically.
They're wasting breath, and if you and I try not to talk politics with anybody. You can figure out what I do. I am socially liberal and fiscally conservative, so you can figure it out whatever you want, which is truly the definition of.
I'm a conservative libertarian.
Yeah, it's truly the definition of a libertarian. But the problem is the libertarians can't get anybody out there to run.
They can't win. Yeah,
so they can't win. So you just got to pick and choose. But you can't say anything without either side. There's a fan base on either side that just goes apeshit.
It's very Sharks Jets.
Yeah, it really is. It's Crips blood. You're right, and it's and you can't say anything. So what I do to those people, I just hide them. You don't want to unfollow them, then they'll figure it out. But if you hide them, they can still look at your stuff. And I've had people on both sides. I've got friends on both sides of the equation. Some that love, I say Obama. Some to the left, some to the right, and they're both nuts. They're both nuts. It's crazy.
They're the same person. They don't understand that, and they're too proud and too adamant in their viewpoint and their stance than to realize that they're the same person that they're arguing against.
Well, you know what? You know what that person is? Narrow-minded.
100%.
And they're narrow-minded, and they can't They can't focus on what's best. Because I'm going to tell you right now, not everything coming from the right is 100% wrong, and not everything to the left is 100% wrong. And there's got to start being some compromise. But right now, it's treated like a football game where there's got to be a winner and a loser. And there's just nothing, and there's nothing for the country. And maybe at some point things can get better, but right now they're not. And again, I'm not saying anything about who I voted for. When I'm saying not better, it's not me saying Trump sucks or whatever. It's just fucking nuts out there, man.
I think that we lost as a country by being handed what we were handed as far as who to vote for. And I think that I don't know. I just feel like now the situation isn't who can help this country and who can bring us out of where we are, but who is trending harder.
Well, I don't know. I think you're underestimating the middle class. I think you're underestimating the people that are out there working and slugging through, and they want to see a change and they want to see something new.
That's very possible as well.
The problem is, who in their fucking right mind wants to run for this stuff? Granted, you might be a president and can live in history forever or whatever, but to put yourself through all this stuff, and that is the one thing, and I'll say about Trump, he doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't. He doesn't give no fucks.
And that's what the difference between a billionaire. But these people that there was a lot of shit about him today. But there was stuff I just don't care about. I want to know what's going on with the country, and that's my point is. I think there's a lot of good people that won't run for president because they probably have something that's going to come out, but nobody cares. You've got garbage. I've got garbage.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has skeletons in their closet, and we are a forgiving society. And I think as people, start to realize that, hey man, who gives a shit? I got a DUI in 1990. Run. There's good people out there that can be in office, and I don't think they want to deal with the smear campaigns. Now, listen, nobody's smearing Trump. He's doing that on his own. He does a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah, and I don't think that he cares, and I think that it's like he is bringing light to that situation that it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, but but the people that are supporting Trump, and there's a lot of people, and this is what people on the left don't realize. These zealots that are going nuts. There's a lot of people that voted for Trump that won't say a word to anybody because they don't want to catch shit. They don't. And I don't know if he's going to win or lose. I am tired of this. I mean, I'm really tired of
the conversation.
And when I say tired, I'm tired of them saying stuff about Trump and then Trump agitating them and it's just
it's like kids in the playground poking each other.
Oh, it's really and it's something else and the country, because I do think Trump gets results. I didn't like what he did with Russia. I didn't as far as the way he handled himself on that, but I just wish he'd just do the job and shut up.
Yeah, that would be. I think that he would be, and I've said this before. If he didn't have the Twitter and he didn't have the ability to say whatever he wanted to at a drop of a hat for all the world to see, he could have gone down as literally one of the greatest presidents of all time.
The dude does a lot. He works. He's a relentless worker and a tireless worker, especially at his age. But he's just. You know what? I mean, the stuff, I know it's the hashtag Me Too movement and all that stuff, but most of that stuff you're hearing about was from like 2006 and all that. I just don't care. I mean, we're getting way too much into politics.
No, that's fine.
But he just, he won't listen to anybody because he's a billionaire. He just doesn't give a shit. He just doesn't give a shit.
In his mind, he's gotten to where he's gotten to by doing things his way, and that's the way he wants to continue to do them.
Well, and the thing about him, I tell my wife, because my wife is left by far, and she just doesn't understand how I'm even tolerant of him. I'm tolerant of him because I think he does a decent job, but I'm intolerant of him because I wish he'd shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
And so I can take him or leave him. I'm a results driven person, whereas I thought Obama was all sizzle. I mean, he was Obama. I remember when he won, I was like, you know what? We were coming out of the depression, or not depression. It was like the recession, whatever. It was pretty bad. And I thought
it gave a lot of people depression.
Yeah. Well, I voted for McCain, but when Obama won, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this fucker a chance. Because he looks good up there. He's talking great. He's probably great for the country. But there was really just, to me, not a lot of substance. But I didn't hate him. If Obama walked into Tito's, I think Obama would be fun to drink a beer with.
Oh, dude, I love seeing him with David Letterman on that interview. He's a great speaker.
Listen, I didn't think George Bush was a good president, but George Bush, if he was still drinking, would be fun. Second one to drink a beer with.
Bush 43.
Yeah, he would be fun to drink a beer with. Obama would be fun to boy it up and drink a beer with. Trump wouldn't be.
I would be awkward around. I think that would be awkward.
Yeah, it would be awkward around Trump.
Yeah.
But so you got two guys that I actually like and would socially like to hang out with. Although there's not a president alive that I would meet that wouldn't want to meet. It'd be an honor. I've never met a president.
Yeah, I same here.
I mean, if I won something and had to go to the White House, I'm there, dude. I'm going.
I met David Beasley one time.
Go ahead, dude.
Right after he took the poker machines away.
He wasn't in office when that happened, was he?
Yeah, Ban Beasley was the bumper sticker. You remember?
I thought you were talking about Tito's. No, he took them away from South Carolina.
Yeah.
Well, they were just trying to look for a way. My guess is I wasn't living here when that happened. They were looking for a way to tax them. They had all this revenue coming in.
Well, if because of all the things that have been happening with the sports betting in Jersey and New York now, where they've legalized sports betting.
Yeah.
That is going to change everything for the country. That is like the California and weed laws for sports betting.
Well, and we're one of like the second tier states where we're positioned to, I think, to do this one day. But I heard him saying that like New Jersey's ready, and there's like two other states that are ready to have them like done before the end of this year.
Yeah.
And I heard that, and they named about 5 to 7 states that would have it within 3 years, and South Carolina was one of them.
Dude, I honestly believe that if they're worried about sports and viewership, and if this kneeling during the national anthem thing is going to be like what lost a lot of viewers for the NFL,
That's
sports,
bullshit,
it is.
What?
It really is.
It's
Watch
bullshit.
the fucking game.
No, it's not bullshit that they're kneeling. It's bullshit. They're not losing. They're losing viewers because everything's changing. I work in radio, and not as many people listen to the radio anymore because they listen to podcasts, they listen to.
I was going to say
they do all kinds of stuff, and there's just these things have changed everything.
Yeah.
Cell phones and people just don't watch. People under 25 don't watch TV. They don't do it. I mean, there's just so much stuff. And how many people are cutting the cord of their cable and doing Roku, Fire Sticks, YouTube cable?
Yeah.
I mean, the world's changing, and that's why most of the people, because cable's gotten so expensive that they're losing viewers by the millions every month. And I'm not for the kneeling, but just fucking let it go, man. Who cares?
just let it go. And the thing that bothers me about the situation is that most people are reacting to what they're doing rather than why they're doing it.
Listen, they're reacting because it's the right feels one way, the left feels another way.
Exactly.
And they're jumping on the side of their team, and they're doing it. And again, I think we're getting too much into all that. But listen, man, before I wish you'd stand. But you know what? So what? You know what? You're demonstrating. And listen, I'm a white guy. I grew up in definitely a white world. But I understand the plight of the African American. I know what it's like when people come in. Even sometimes there'll be some black guys coming to Tito's. There'll be some dumbass that'll come to me. Hey, man, you had like 7 black guys in here last night. So fucking what?
Yeah,
they can come in here. Listen, you got to understand that, and this is a very delicate subject, and I want to broach you right.
Yeah.
But when people, they are looked at differently as a whole. I've got great black friends, and I know what it's like to walk into a room, and people are offended just because now there's not as much hate in the world as there used to be, but it's still there,
and it's disgusting, and
it is disgusting.
It still exists,
and you're ignorant if you don't think it exists.
100%, and I am just amazed, and I say this all the time. This makes an appearance in just about every podcast I've recorded. Is that I'm just amazed at how comfortable people are with being a racist.
Well, it's.
Even if that's unknowing.
Well, what happens with a lot of people is they're not racist. That they don't understand that it's out there.
Yeah.
Now, and it is on both sides of the street. But trust me, my life is a lot more privileged because I'm white.
Absolutely.
And if you don't fucking think that way, it's like Joe Rogan said, you're not on our team. I love when Joe
Wasn't
Rogan
that the
talked
best
about,
clip?
That was the best clip ever. I don't know if people saw it, but Rogan was talking about
In a tie-dye shirt, nonetheless.
But it's the truth. I mean, and you just got to understand. I remember I had an aunt who was probably brought up. When I say aunt, great aunt, she probably was 95 when she died, and she's been dead for however many years. But when I was a little kid and used to ride with her, if we saw a black person, if we pulled in the black neighborhood, click, doors locked. Yeah.
There's people who ride with me today that still do the same thing.
Like they're
and
gonna
I'm
walk
like,
up and open the door and yank my ass out of there.
I'm like, dude, look at us.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. That's little forms of racism.
Yeah, it's subtle, but we can see it with a better trained eye. That is nonetheless racism.
Well, and we're not saying that every African American perfect or every white person's a racist. I'm just saying I understand. That's all I'm saying. I understand.
I'm on the same page. I'm right there with you. I see the whole thing, and I also feel that it's my responsibility that if I see something that some of my friends are doing that I don't think that we should do, I feel like it's my responsibility to say, dude, we can't do that. We can't say that. It's not like it's a different world now. There might have been a time when I would see humor in these things, but I don't anymore, and I don't think a lot of people are catching up to that.
All right, but just to show you how different I am on both sides, and I want somebody going, that fucking Feuger, that leftist bastard.
I can hear him now.
Yeah, that's wait till I see that
Unfriend.
bastard. Yes, but at the same time, I'm not really for gun control. I don't even have a gun. But I believe it's people's right to bear
Same
arms.
here. I'm the same.
And
I don't have a gun either, but I believe in.
And
it's too late to take them away.
You can't take them away. And I don't think people should be buying blah 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 that could blow up a tank or something. But I think people should have the right to bear arms, and I like having the right to do it. And I'm one of those people who feel like, and then maybe we can make this humorous again. I'm one of those people that feels like, if a guy wants to kill people, he's going to kill people.
Exactly.
And whether he finds a machete and runs through a thing, and I'm not trying to be humorous on that or doing whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And and if the gun's not there, they're going to do whatever.
It's a minivan in Paris, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they do all the time there. And it's terrible that they're doing it. And they got strict gun controls in Europe.
That's the whole argument, is that if there is evil in a person, it will get out despite the weapon.
But again, that goes back to the side, and they're just trying to do everything for sound clips and this and that. So, I guess the mood of my whole tone here is lighten the fuck up.
Lighten the fuck up.
Yeah.
Get over yourselves, people.
True.
No, seriously, lighten the fuck up. Like, everybody is so tense, and every person that you see in the world isn't out to harm you or hurt you or offend you. Some people are just literally just trying to share their opinions, and because it might not coincide with how you feel about the world or the way it should be, doesn't mean that they're wrong, and it doesn't mean that you're right. It just means that you believe different things, and that's okay.
It is. That's what makes this country.
That's where we started.
Yes, that's exactly where we started. So, I mean, I'm with you. And I wish people would lighten up. And if I don't feel the same way as you, and because I'm to the right, and I really do lean more right, there's things on the left I fucking agree with.
That's why I sort of, and I don't want to say that I'm an independent or whatever. I would say it, and if I had to put a name on it, I would call it conservative libertarianism, because I believe that a woman should be able to decide whether she wants to have her baby or not. But I also believe that pot should be legal, and I think that we should not spend so much stupid fucking money.
Well, my thoughts on babies are, once the heart beats, it's a whole different story.
Yes.
That's just a start. But if it's something early on, and it is approachable, but it's not my fucking choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I who am I to tell a woman what she could do? We talked
about how an African American walked through a door and people were looking at, we're not a fucking woman. It's got to thank God, because I'd be ugly as shit. When my kids were born and they looked like my wife, I was so happy. And but we're not, it's just, I don't know. And now I went to Catholic school. They're probably all going, oh, son of a bitch. That fucking leftist abortion right.
That son of a bitch. Unfriend.
Yeah, I'm not going to have any friends after today. I'm kidding. I think it's going pretty well.
I think we're doing well, man. We've done really good so far. We're at about 55 minutes. I don't know what you're.
I'm good as long as you're good.
Yeah, man. I'm good for a little bit longer. I don't have anything going on until like.
on.
And that's fine. I don't have anything to do until around the 8:30 hour. So yeah, I'm good.
What's the 8:30? What's going on then?
I have Noah Byrne is going to come. We're doing a little Sunset Grill. We're going to be doing some bits and making a soundboard for our Sunset Grill podcast.
Like fart noises and stuff?
Yeah. Nah, well, we're I don't know if you've listened to Sunset Grill at all, but it's like all about conspiracy theories and bullshit. And right now we're going to dive into the like the Las Vegas. The Mandalay Bay is like suing victims of the Las Vegas shooting because there's some situation that if they do not do that, then they could claim terrorism or there's some random conspiracy involving this, and I don't want to really touch that in this because it's a Sunset Grill thing.
You know, my theory on that is, and I haven't dove into it. That dude that shot up everybody, he was CIA or something, or some type of operative, because you don't hear anything about that.
Nope.
Nothing.
Well, I think the theory that we came up with, and this is totally Sunset Grill territory. I don't want to spend too much time on this, guys. But since we're here, I believe that we came to the conclusion that this guy was like an arms dealer.
Yeah, or something like
and
that.
And he was like an arms dealer, and apparently his buyers or whoever they were may have offed him and carried out this thing. And that's all speculatory.
Well, you really are out there. You're Roswell on this thing, man.
Yeah.
Area 51 and shit.
Well, there were so many unanswered questions in this one. And the only thing other than this, and I'm not going back to the 9/11 thing other than just to mention it, but that's the only other time in which something this large in this country happened that there were so many unanswered questions.
Well, I got to look, because I do think like 9/11, I was talking about it with somebody the other day. I think that the whole let's roll theory, I think that's bullshit. I think they shot that plane down. I think they had to.
Yeah, I mean,
I know they said they fought and they made them crash it in the field. I mean, they crashed it like in the perfect spot.
It had to have been planned.
And you know what? And if they came out and said it, and again, it's just this is bar talk. This is kind of shit that we talk about at Tito's.
Yeah.
When we're not making fun of Repack
or being recorded.
Yes. But I do think that they had to shoot that plane down because I think it was heading for the Pentagon. I think they were trying to do another one, and because they were grounding everybody, and then that plane didn't come down, and I think that they had to do what they had to do. But again, that could be a conspiracy theory.
Exactly, and that's basically what we're shooting for in the Sunset Grill is just not to. I guess just to speculate, that's all. It's all entertainment driven. Like we're not Alex Jones.
Do y'all talk? Alex Jones is nuts. Do y'all talk about Area 51?
We haven't yet. We got a couple of people who are alien enthusiasts. so one would say, or as one would be, and we're gonna save all that kind of stuff for when they come on the episode. But we just started season 2. Of that podcast, and we're gonna be like basically making like Viva Las Vegas sound bits and stuff for when we're going back and doing other conspiratorial things. But there's also all of this stuff that's going down with the chick from Smallville. Then the chick from the Seagrams heiress.
Is that the one that they made marry her?
No, they arrested. I don't know, but they arrested this one girl who's like the
chick from Smallville. Like, was brainwashed.
Allison Mack,
and then she married another girl. Is that the girl that she married?
I'm not sure.
And they arrested both of them. I think. I don't know. That story's whack. I don't know the whole thing.
Well, same here. I got a little reading I got to do before Noah gets here on that. But it's just really, really creepy shit that's going on, and just really weird situations that the FBI is arresting very high profile people, which means that something big is going on. Like when billionaires are getting arrested.
Oh man. Yeah.
It's because the Seagram's liquor heiress was arrested like yesterday or day before yesterday or something like that in ties to this Allison Mack, the sex trafficking thing in New Jersey or whatever. And it's like I said, this is all very Sunset Grill sensitive stuff that I don't want to go too far down. Because
I'll say for Noah. What else you got on the bullet points? Anything we haven't touched on?
Let's see. So we used to play jukebox games at Tito's, but I'm not sure if we can fully describe those games without sounding homophobic or.
We used to play like very awkward music for people to come in there, and we'd pop up like Wham!
Yeah,
Last Christmas.
We would just load up. we would load up the jukebox with Wham and Culture Club and like Neil Diamond, which you love Neil Diamond.
We all said that Neil Diamond's okay. I heard y'all talking about the music that I like.
Do you have the most random assortment of music ever?
I like what I like.
Yeah.
And if I hear something and I like it, I'm like it. I'm not cool and say, "Oh God, man, I like Widespread." Fuck Michael Jackson. You know. If I don't I love Jason Isbell. I love. I used to love Wilco. And going back to politics, I was telling Wes after you heard it, I went to a Wilco show once, and Tweety pulled up a guy on stage who was like a Republican and just fucking made a fool out of him, and I just lost.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was in Savannah, and I actually knew the guy, and I felt sorry for him, and I was like, I'm here to be entertained. I don't want to hear this shit.
That's the same exact thing that Russell Green said about the Saturday Night Live thing after the election when Kate McKinnon played that song, played the Hallelujah.
Yeah.
The real heartfelt one as Hillary Clinton.
I didn't see that, but
and he was like, "Dude, I don't want to watch this to get like all heartfelt. Like I watched this for comedy purposes."
Wow, and so, but going to the music is.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No. I told you when we brought over here, like, what are we talking about? I was like, my whole life's ADD. So this will be us. This will be us on 80. Basically, we just need some Adderall or something. But I like anything. And I pretty much like. I'm not familiar with modern rap. I just haven't listened to it.
Same here. I don't care for it.
And I've some jazz I can't stand, but pretty much everything else I like.
I don't like a lot of the fusion jazz stuff, but if it's like any Miles or Coltrane or
and I used to not like country, but I like country now. And I got a 13-year-old daughter, so we listen to some pop, and I don't mind it. I run a pop station, top 40, so I don't mind it. I'm probably 80s and 90s rock is.
I would say so.
I didn't really like Rat and the Scorpions and.
So hair metal.
No, I'm not heavy metal. You know what? I'm not a big heavy metal guy. I'm really not. I don't like that. But I loved REM when they were coming up. They were, they're probably 10 years older than I was, but we loved.
Well, they were from right up the road, right?
Yeah, Athens. So a lot of the Athens music I liked a lot. And then I just like what I like and at the bar, I like to look at the crowd and either A, make everybody just like, who the fuck played this? Or B, I like everybody sing along or something like that. And not play what I just want to hear. Because it's not good for the bar. I'm trying to think of people, to make them happy and want to stay and sing along when I do that.
I just thought of the greatest idea. You should make a Jimmy's playlist and do just an hour on which station could you get away with doing your kind of music the most that you run?
Probably Bob 104.
Bob, you can do anything.
Bob plays anything.
Bob plays anything. Listen, you could do just an hour. You should do that. You should just make a playlist of
have it sponsored by Uncle Tito's.
Yeah.
For
Bob FM.
I would
just
do
because
I make playlists for Tito's a lot.
The Uncle Tito's Jukebox Hour.
Well, I would do it. I mean, I like playing music and putting together, but it gets complicated after a while.
You get Touch Tunes to sponsor it.
Touch Tunes, those
bastards. They're a lot better than those other 5-letter ass caps.
Well, the thing about it is, I can get on this whole tangent because I work in radio, and they squeeze ASCAP and BMI squeeze us out. People don't understand we have to pay royalty rights. Even
for every single song.
Every song. Thank God we have computers that figure that shit out now.
No shit, right?
And back in the day when we had to go through logs and divulge it, and we probably pay for our market, our radio stations probably pay about $250,000 in royalty. But you map out, there's 3 groups our size, so that's
yes.
And then there's some others. So that's probably $1 million in royalties getting divvied up. But I think you figure like New York's probably paying $1 billion
easily. And I think I remember recently that didn't you guys win some awards recently in your like division basically?
We may have, but that's just my only reason that I get really pissed off when people are telling me that they're listening to Pandora or Spotify.
Yeah.
They fuck the artist. They don't pay the royalty.
That's why I buy records.
Yes. Well, you don't have to pay the artist. They just make the money off of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean I get that because I want a hard copy of something because it seems like to me I'll usually I mean, I'll get some from Amazon or whatever, but if it's somebody who I see on Facebook that I listen to, like I like Father John Misty a lot. I don't know if you've heard of that guy,
haven't.
but he's awesome, and I'll like buy straight from his website because I'm like, I know you get the dollars from this.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of your black rappers from like the '90s and stuff,
Yeah.
they made so much money because they were their own label, and then they would
Yes.
ride around and they would go to the stations, and then they would, even though the days of paying artists and
Yeah.
stuff paying jocks are gone, but back then they programmed their own station. They would go to the stations and get the DJ to spit them some stuff. They'd spin the music, and then they'd make a fucking killing, man.
All the money stays in house.
And it stays inside, and they didn't have to give it to another label, another thing.
Yep.
They made all that money, and that's why guys like Master P. Go look at
Oh,
his
dude,
network.
Master P with No Limit. Yeah,
Yeah.
when that shit came out, and I mean, he owned that diamond font. Like everything about all of that
Who was
was
the one that had like "Welcome to Atlanta"? Was that Jermaine Dupri?
I don't know.
Yeah, welcome, because I remember that's right when I
Yeah.
started radio, and then they changed it. We had an urban station, and they had "Welcome to Savannah." And,
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing it, and but he made a killing. All those, I'm telling you, those rappers had their own labels, and they just crushed it, man. They crushed it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was right before, like, right at the same time Napster came out and started stealing shit, right before the death of the damn, the industry.
That was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, and because right after they did it, they shut Napster down, and then you had Kazaa. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember Kazaa and LimeWire
Yeah,
and BearShare.
Yeah, you go out to like in Israel. It was a horrible. You thinking about you putting God knows what on your computer, and it just killed the industry.
So that's what I was going to say. Wes said internet killed the radio star. Is he right on that? Like,
It made
releasing
them broker.
podcasts?
A lot more broker, I would say. Radio's still doing fine. Radio still has 283 million people a week listening to it.
Yes.
Which is more than any other industry. I always tell a story when I'm trying to sell radio. Now, is our listenership down? Yeah, it's down a little bit. Nobody can tell me any different, even though it's 283 million people. But think about radio. Radio was the first thing around. Then television came out, was supposed to kill radio. Radio's still here. And then I remember when I was a kid, you had your 8-track tapes. So I see a bunch over there. They were supposed to kill them. Then cassette tapes and CDs. Then satellite radio. I mean, all this stuff was, but radio is still plugging away. And my thing is, if I can just get 15 years out of this shit, I don't care what happens after that. I don't care.
Well, I think the radio is going to continue to flourish because there's something about speaking live to people. Like if you do podcasts like this, we're technically live, but I can go back in here and change things. Just being able to fix or having the opportunity to fix things after you're done speaking is what radio doesn't have. Like you have to get it right. You got one shot to get this thing right, and that makes people speak better. Like we were talking about how when you do and they would do the bells.
You're ringing a bell. You were telling me like when we got here, you were like, I know you don't drink, but I know you were trying to make me more comfortable and relaxing. You probably get a lot of people that are on here that are tight. And I can tell Wes, even when Wes was on here last week, it was funny because I was listening, and at the 22-minute mark, I was like, he's comfortable.
He's comfortable now, exactly.
Yeah, he's comfortable. And I could tell, because at first I could tell he was nervous, but he just hasn't been around it like I've been around.
You don't have the microphone in your face usually, but I mean, you do.
Yeah,
and I
being
do.
on TV is a little bit different. I'm not used to looking at a camera, but you can't see it. But but I could really tell because I think y'all did it like an hour and 15 minutes. But at the 22-minute mark, it's funny because being kind of in the industry, I listened to it while I was at work. And I could tell when it started flowing, and I went back and looked at the time. But as long as radio stays local,
yes,
like we've got a show, Gator Morning Show with James and Adam, and I think James is good and James is whatever, but Adam is a guy who grew up loving radio. And those two just play off of each other so well. But Adam's so local and so in touch that when Larry Jones over at the Brunswick fire station hears his name, he loves it. Or when somebody can come in and we can rally as a community around some event, they love it. But one of the problems that radio has, and especially in the bigger markets, they can everything. Yes. Somebody will come in and voice track their stuff. And they can do what you're saying, and they can go over and over. But it's so much better when you can call in and say, "Hey, can I blah blah blah?" And it's just, it's what makes us successful, and it's what I think we have to do as an industry for the next 15 years.
That's the talent aspect.
For me to get the whole 15 years, that's all I care. 15 years, they can do what the fuck they want after that. Let me get little Jim through college, and I'm done.
Little Jim get through college. Well, man, little Jim's probably going to be scholarshiping on some sports, man.
I don't know. It's so funny because it's
Is he losing interest?
Well, he's not even in kindergarten yet.
Well, I mean,
he'll be 5.
You take it. You take him to just to you.
No,
you
I
talk
haven't
about
taken him into any sports yet.
Well, no. You talk about just him being able to catch all these foul balls or whatever.
Well, he's
tell that story. That's a good story, actually.
So we go to a lot of the coastal baseball games.
Yeah,
and we've got a lot. The lady that's helped with the gym a lot, Nancy Reeder, Jamie, and,
yes.
and Jason and Evan, and that's. Well, Evan's mother-in-law,
yeah.
But our future mother-in-law. Well, Nancy watches Jim a lot. I mean, she's watched him since he was 2 weeks old. So Jim likes going to the baseball game. So we ended up buying some season tickets. So we're walking out. It's senior day. It's on a Saturday. We get out of the car, and comes over the fence. It's like batting practice or something. A foul ball bounces right to our feet. And Jim, so boom, he's got a foul ball.
And you said that's never happened to you.
Never. I've caught one foul ball in my life.
Out of all the games you've gone to.
So listen. So that fun. So going into the game, we catch a foul ball. So then we go out. And if you've ever been to if you've never been to a coastal baseball game, go. It's fun.
It's coastals. That's a really, really nice stadium as well.
And the games go pretty quick. They actually serve beer if you're drinking. I wasn't drinking. I had my kid. And they've got these Adirondack chairs.
Yeah.
And they've got what's that? They call it the burn, the grass. They got the grass. So they've got seats like third to first base.
Yeah.
So Jim and I are sitting. He's sitting on the burn, and I'm in an Adirondack chair, and Jim's kind of playing with another kid. Well, a ball comes, hits the burn, spins up to him. I'm like, Jim, get the ball, get the ball. He gets his body in front of it, gets the ball, holds it up, and everybody's like, yeah. So the little bit, some bitch just caught 2 foul balls. Nobody's got 2 foul balls. So later, literally like 3 or 4 innings later, Nancy and Jamie are at the game, and they're sitting next to me, and I don't know if you can tell, but if I told you, I've got a bad back, so I'm sitting in this Adirondack chair, and Jim's like at the bottom of the burn playing with this other kid. And this ball, so we're probably 280 feet to 300 feet from home plate.
Yeah.
Guy yokes a foul ball that's coming at us. I'm like, that son of a bitch is coming right at us. And, and what do I do? And so first of all, I'm happy. I get out of the chair, and then I even smack the hand. I don't have a glove.
You get the Willie Mays?
I'm like, smack it, and it's coming down. I'm like, I don't even have to move. And I get my hands out. And I've never tried to catch a barehanded foul ball. I've never. Have you?
No. I've never been in a situation.
Well, I was just like, all right, I'm going to try to catch this son of a bitch. So I get my hands up, and that damn thing hits me right there.
Oh man, right in the heel.
Right in the heel. And the thing about it, it just shot straight down. And I was like, oh man. And who does it shoot to? Jim at the bottom of the thing.
3 for 3.
3 for 3. But I told my wife, I got home, I was like, I can't believe it. I had a chance to catch a foul ball. Knowing what I know now, I can catch 10 out of 10. Next time. First of all, there's so much spin on the son of a bitch. There's so much
That's what you
spin.
were saying. You underestimate that.
It's so much spin, but it didn't hurt. So, because that part of me was worried about this is really going to hurt. It didn't hurt a bit. And I could have come over the top. I could have done anything.
Yeah.
But I was a little bit nervous. And I asked a couple of the players, because I know a few of them, I was like, man, should I have been embarrassed I didn't catch that? And they're like, oh, shit, no. If you had a glove, yes. But catching a foul ball with a bare hand is difficult.
10 out of 10 now, though.
I don't know if I can do 10 out of 10, but I guarantee you, I'd slap 50 down. I can catch it again.
Good
if
percentage.
you put me in it right now with no warm-up, I'll slap 50 and I catch it. Because I'm gonna do the old cup it.
Oh yeah, you gotta think fast. Well, that's what I was saying. Like you say, whenever Jim catches the second one and he holds it up and everybody screams.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing that fosters what you're gonna do forever. Like the first time you feel like that, oh shit, I did something cool and everybody's stoked about it. That might foster him into wanting to be great at sports.
Well, I want my kid to play
And plus,
sports.
he's your son, so I mean, he's gonna.
Well, at some point, he'll hopefully figure it out. Mary Grace, my daughter, just started playing lacrosse this year, and she's actually gotten pretty good. And I think watching her play will help too. But I get this boy, and everybody's got this. When they find out they're having a boy and then they're born healthy, you're like, oh yeah, man, this kid's gonna be a badass.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a little league monster and all that stuff. But then they're born, and you just want them to be safe and happy.
Yeah.
But I still, in the back of my head, I want him to be a badass.
Exactly, and he will be because of that.
Well, but I kind of keep reminding myself that he's not. Very rarely is there a prodigy. Like a Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And half the time those kids get burnt out. And so, like I said, I told my wife today something about Jim, and I said, I just got to keep reminding myself he starts kindergarten this fall. He's not even in kindergarten yet. And I think he's behind on basketball or something. But he played soccer, and I don't want to tell too many Jim stories, but he will run your ass over on the soccer field. It's almost sad because, in my mind, I'm thinking, man, if my kid was on the other team and there was the kid running him over like that, I would be pissed off. So I've had to have a talk with him about, one time he was out in the middle of the field playing. I was like, Jim, quit hitting people. And he yelled back and said, it's okay, Dad. They're on the other team.
That's great.
Yeah, so, maybe there's hope. But, I just want him to be happy, and I want him to be just to stay out of trouble.
That's the main thing that's your goal. And I think sports will do that. Sports help that a little bit.
Well,
at least teach you discipline or whatever.
Well, teach you teamwork.
Yeah.
I played sports from the time I was, 6 years old to 19. And then I played men's leagues and other things. And it just teaches you how to get along with people better. And there's so much stuff. But I'll be honest with you. There was a time, we were – back then, sports wasn't as specialized. It was football, basketball, baseball, football, basketball, baseball. And you got burnt out. And I will say this about football. I'm not worried about the concussions. I do believe that's a legitimate thing. But when I played ball, you block like this. You didn't even, hands.
Yeah, I had bruises all over my forearms.
Yeah, you blocked that. And you were also taught not to ever lead with your head. They were in spearing. It was spearing, and they'd check you in a second. I think they'll get back to that, and things will get better. And I also think that I don't think kids under 10 years old need to put pads on. I really don't. I don't think you get anything out of it. And the only kids that are having fun and 8 and under, 9 and under are the kids carrying the football. The kid playing offensive guard, he ain't having any fucking fun.
He don't know what he's doing.
He's not doing anything. He's out there just, and your parents got to pay all this money for that stuff. And I won't let him play football.
That would probably, honestly, that would maybe foster a better tackling strategies amongst the generation if you would do away with the pads at a certain age.
I think they're playing more and more flag football at younger ages.
Yeah,
and and I tell Katie this because Jim's a bigger kid. I mean, he's not fat by any means, but he's just solid and he's 5 and he's 60-something pounds, and he's not slow, but he's still 60 pounds.
How does he look compared to other kids his age? Is he
big? He's not the biggest ever, but he's big. He's not like when he played soccer, the soccer league was 6 and under, and he was 4, so he was one of the younger kids out there. And he was the second biggest kid, and there was a kid on his team that was huge. I mean, it's just absolutely huge. And his dad told me, we took him to the doctor. They said he's going to be 6'9". He's not that big. But this kid was like that kid that's going to be 6'9", like 380. And you don't want to fuck with. But Jim, like in practice, would knock the shit out of that kid. And that kid get back up and knock the shit out of Jim. And Jim would be laughing. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm raising a psychopath.
Good. Good. The world needs more psychopaths.
Yeah. No, but it's it's fun being a dad. It really is. I remember when I was sitting and having lunch with Stoney one day, and the kids weren't in my world yet, and we were talking about something about children, and Stoney said, I would die for my kids. And he was saying it was something and thinking, and he said, I would have no problem dying for my children. And you don't know it until you have kids. Yeah. So it's awesome being a father. It's out of radio station, bar, being a dad is by far the happiest thing. But goddamn, it's work.
That's what everybody says. It's just so damn hard.
Well,
it's not hard, but just you have to. It's like every day, every second of every day thing.
Well, you just don't know. You're trying to budget yourself. You're doing everything, and then all of a sudden, blah 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 blah, and you need this, and it's just you're just constantly keeping up. And then when I was talking about like, let's say you go out and you get drunk and you got a baby at the house, you wake up the next morning. They don't care if you're hungover. You got to get up. You got to get them fed. You got to get them breakfast. You got to get, you know, it's sitting there.
Is
with
that? Do you think that that's when you were talking earlier about you cutting back on your drinking a lot? Was that the point in which you realized, okay, this is gonna, I can't
Well,
do
I
this
tell you
like
what
I used
happened. You know, and I talked to Mike Kuchar about this. He's an OG.
to? Cooch is an OG. Cooch and Ronnie.
Yeah, and Ronnie's an OG.
Yeah.
Herman, not quite. But he's Herman. I don't know. He's on. I don't know what we'd call Herman. But I was talking to Kuchar about it one time because Kuchar used to hit it pretty good too, like we did.
Oh yeah.
And Kuchar slowed it down to a crawl. I
Yeah.
mean, he might have,
Every now and again you'll see him
but I'm
out.
talking
but
about like once a quarter.
yep,
maybe.
Yep, exactly.
And I talked to him one time about it, and he was like, "Man, I can't shake the hangovers anymore." And that's how I am. It used to be that if I let's say we got done with this and we went up to Tito's and we stumbled into a good time, I could get up the next morning, suck it up, and go to work, and then just go home and go to sleep. Well, kids, you can't do that. When you get home, you gotta do it. And then now I can't get out of bed anymore. So I've pretty much eliminated Monday through Thursday. And
That's not a bad idea at all.
well, and then Katie and I were actually talking about it the other day, and we were talking about we don't go out that much, but we still have a good time. And what I mean by that is, we had a birthday party for me, and that was fun. And then literally Friday night we went out. So that was once every 3 weeks.
Oh
It
yeah,
was enough.
your birthday party was a shit show. That was great.
It was fun. It was you know what? It was perfect. It was
I might have been there for 10 minutes, maybe 15.
it was perfect for me. It was what I remember when Katie told me she was going to do a birthday party at first because I wanted to leave and she kind of had to tell me, so it took this element of surprise. I never, my birthday is June 30th, and I've never been a big birthday party guy. A, I'm a fucking man. And
Yeah, we don't do those things. We don't care.
And B, it's always been because my birthday's so close to July 4th that people are traveling and doing whatever.
Yeah.
So I just, it was just always hard to have a birthday party. And then I've got my sister, I have an older sister, her birthday is July 1st, and my mother's is July 2nd. So birthdays were just never a big thing around our house. You just had it and moved on.
Same here. Everybody in my family's birthday's in October, so it's just not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. So Katie wanted to do this party, and I was like, naturally I was worried, what if nobody comes to this damn thing? And she's like, oh, people will come. And then I was like, well, God, we're not closing the bar. What if it's a bunch of people I don't fucking know? And then it's just going to be sad. And I remember I got there, and it was probably 8:15, and maybe there was 40 people there. It wasn't like Stoney's, which was just unhinged. Because Stoney's from here, he knows everybody, and it was just you were at Stoney. You played music.
We played.
But I remember thinking to myself, I looked at everybody there, and I was standing back to the wall, and I knew everybody there was my friend.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what, this is perfect. It's I know everybody here. They're close friends. And I mean, my wife did, and Stoney helped her too, but they did a great job with that party. It really was.
Dude, it was, yeah, man. I got there after I finished a gig. I showed up super late, and everybody was wasted.
Yeah, it turned into a good time.
Your hat was I don't know if you notice you do that whenever you get to a certain.
I do it. I do it or that one or that one, and
depending on what level of drunk
is
where the hat's aimed, and it was definitely just barely hanging on.
And and it's funny because. We really haven't harped on the partnership that Stoney and I have at Tito's, but we get along so well, and we both have our roles, and I always joke, and I mean this as a joke. I always say, hey, if you ever go 50-50 with somebody, you want the 50 that Stoney has. I love the story you told about him sweeping the floor because I could just see that.
He's like, God damn, just sweep the floor for like 2 seconds and then be like, all right, man, I got to go. You want to finish this?
But Stoney and I, and you got to understand the point I'm coming at with this. I heard Larry Bird talk one time, and they were talking about the Dream Team. This was years ago. And he was talking about how close he and Magic Johnson are. They're really, really good friends.
Yeah.
And you might call bullshit on this, but on what I'm saying about myself here, but I remember he was talking about when they were playing in Barcelona, and I don't know if you were too young to remember in '92 when they were
Yeah, I don't
was it
remember that.
Monaco? They were practicing that, and everybody's going crazy.
I got no clue, man.
Listen, the '92 Dream Team was like the Beatles. It was huge. Everywhere they went, it was just the biggest thing. And I remember Larry Bird was talking about they used to have the bus, and they would take the bus to the back of the hotel and let anybody who didn't want to deal with the shit show in the front get off in the back and go to the kitchen to get up to their room. And he said that he and David Robinson and Patrick Ewing always got off the bus in the back. They didn't care. And he said, but Magic went through the front. And I told my wife one time, I said, Stoney's Magic. He's going through the front.
Yeah.
And I'm going to the back because Stoney can do that. Stoney can work the crowd. And Stoney's amazing in the sense that somebody famous can be around and they want to hang out with Stoney. They want to get,
That's
man,
true.
that fucking guy Stoney, blah, blah, blah.
That's true. Even no matter who it is.
I mean, he's got such a charismatic personality that people want to hang out with him. And, and I used to I can't be like that. And it's just not my personality. I like sitting around and shooting the shit.
Yeah, same here.
But Stoney can infiltrate a group. And then the next thing you know, he's the center of attention in that group. And I mean that as a compliment. There's something to be said about that.
That's his bread and butter.
Oh, yeah.
That's his thing.
And like I said, our partnership, we very rarely butt heads. We respect each other enough that if he wants to have something, even if he doesn't even have to ask me, but he always picks up the phone and calls me, and vice versa. And it's just, we're very respectful of each other. And we're good friends on top of that.
Yeah, there's a good give and take between you guys. And I've noticed that I've probably got more experience with that than most people because I was there for the longest time.
Well, Stoney wasn't that involved at first. And I don't know if it was because of his marriage or whatever. He wasn't, but things go a lot smoother when he's there. They really do when he's in there. And I always tell the story when one time Stoney was going out of town. This is before because he didn't really hang out at the bar the first 3 or 4 years.
Not really.
And I remember one time he went out of town and he parked his Jeep at Tito's, and then he caught a ride somewhere or rode someone to Charleston. Everybody would stop in. Hey, Stoney in here? He just went to the store. He's on the way back. He'll be right back.
All right, I'm gonna sit down and have a beer.
$2.50 tonight.
Yeah.
So no,
$2 domestics till 7.
But we got it. We have and Stoney was one of the people when I first moved here. I probably been hanging around with Stoney for probably 13 years now.
Yeah.
And when I first moved here, I wasn't sure about staying. I know earlier I said I wanted, you couldn't pry me, but a lot of my life changed when I started hanging out with Stoney. I met a lot of people outside of business.
His group of friends are the most loyal people, it seems.
Well, they're good guys. They're all good guys.
And I say loyal as like any time you would need anything, it seems like there wouldn't be a whole lot of them that wouldn't help you.
No, and let me tell you something. If something happened to me, Stoney Canner would help in a second. He would be there. And I'll tell you who else would help. And I had something happen. It wasn't to me, but it was to a family member, and not my wife, so I don't want anybody to think it. And he caught when Freddie Hyatt one time, and he didn't have to do anything, and he went out of his way to try to help with the situation. And and stuff like that when you don't ask and you could use a hand, and that's part of what the inlet is, and that's what it's people that aren't from here, they don't understand
that old school. I don't want to say something so hokey as scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, or whatever. But that old. The way that things used to be is still intact here.
Well, it's almost like I got you.
Yeah.
If Mike Stevens from CCMF, who runs that whole thing, the Carolina Country Music Fest, he and I always talk when we're dealing because he and I have become really good friends. And
he's a cool guy. I met him at Tito's once.
He was actually there yesterday, and he was in town with his family vacation. We played golf and all went to Tito's, and we have a thing. He's cool, but he's not one of us. He's okay, but he's not one of us. And, and that's what I mean by that is that's where you can't let loose because they might judge you. When Stoney and I originally opened Tito's, and Adam was in part of this. Stoney and I we were both literally just turned 40, and we still like having a good time. And we wanted a place where we could go have fun and nobody would fucking judge us. You know, and think about it sometimes if you go somewhere and you turn it up a notch and then you wake up the next morning, man, I hope I didn't do anything to embarrass myself. When you do it at Tito's, you don't give a shit.
That's fostered it. That's
Yeah.
we want that at Tito's. That was our main thing. Like we spit takes are encouraged.
Oh my God, I'll never forget. I don't know if you worked that night. The night we did, Wes and I were talking about the other night. I'll never for Georgia to get their ass kicked by Boise State, and I'm a huge Georgia fan. And this is when we were still slow. It was John Satterfield was there, Joel Rush was there, Josh McKay Six Fingers was there, and we did spit take night that night. And I had never had more fun in that bar than somebody say something. What? I mopped the floor that night though.
Yeah. Well, I think I mopped the floor tonight that Will Hanna walked through there with the.
Oh yeah, y'all tell that story. Old Frank Slemmo was pissed. He sprayed him down with that damn fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
He was livid. He jokes about it, but
The
it's one of
driver?
those jokes. It's one of those jokes where I think that guy's a motherfucker. It's one of
Yeah,
those-
he's like, man, fuck that guy.
Go Will Hanna, the fire extinguisher. Is he coming? Yeah. Well, I'll tell him not to blow me down, that asshole. They're one of those. It's just.
We couldn't get away with that now. I don't think in Tito's. I don't think that we could. And
When nobody was coming to Tito's, we got away with murder in there.
yeah.
And now there's people coming in there a lot, and
Now, does the fact that we actually do have really good business now and that we really do have a packed bar at some point every night, does that sort of has that? I don't think it's changed a lot of the things that we say or do, but it just seems like back when there was less people there, that it was just more of a show what we were doing.
I think what Tito's has become is I think that the community feels like it's their bar. It's a locals bar. Listen, and we're not going to put up, when I say not put up with any shit, if, every bar it sometimes has extracurricular stuff, if you know what I mean. We do our best to keep that shit out of Tito's.
And it's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's impossible to
but
keep.
We do it, and if we find out it's in there, we get rid of it.
Yep.
And I think it's a safe place. There's other places that aren't as safe as, I think we're tough on underage people as anybody in the inlet.
Yeah.
And we've always been. We don't want you in there. I really wish I could make the drinking age in there 25. If I could make if I could make the drinking age Cole Richards age and just make that go up every year. I think
Shout out Cole.
Yeah, Stoney and I haven't had that conversation, but I think he feels the same way. And the thing about Tito's, what really made Tito's when we opened it, I think Stoney thought that surfing crowd was going to come.
Well, that's what it was in the beginning. It was all the surf shit everywhere.
But we didn't. But they never came in. I mean, the only people from the surfing community that are pretty much regulars in there are Stoney,
and Kelly,
Cole.
Yeah. And
that's it. And I don't think you count Cole anymore in surfing.
Not really. Yeah, because remember we used to do all of those video showings.
Well, we did. We still do those, and we enjoy doing it. And on Super Bowl Sunday, when Cam was surfing in the Volcom, we showed the Volcom at Tito's, and it was awesome. But what saved Tito's thing was, honest to God, was Wes, Will, David Rhodes, Summit,
the Glory Hole Gang,
and I'm trying to think of who else used to come in there.
Henry Ford, Robert Thompson, every single day, the whole Seven Seas crew.
Yeah, Chris Conklin, those guys. They came in there, and again, that group started coming in there, and that's what saved us. And then Stoney would have the occasional. Everybody was turning 40 when we opened. So we had all these Mount Gilead parties that would make us a little bit of money, but man, we sweated back then. We really did. It was. Hey, Stoney, I got to put 300 in the checking account. Can you float 152? To make it. We haven't had to put any money back in the business in 5 or 6 years. Thank God. Knock on wood.
Thank God. And by the way, I'm sorry for a lot of that because listen, I didn't.
But you weren't stealing. That's why we never got mad at you.
Yeah.
You just.
My thing is what I told Wes. I don't know if you heard, but I would take I said this in Zach Williams' episode. Like I would take say Kelsey $40, and I would go to Bubba's and drop 20, and go to Dead Dog and drop 20.
I remember you would do that.
And then, but the $20 that I would spend at each bar would bring back in a couple hundred, because I would bring a dozen people back with me every fucking time.
Yeah, like I said,
Between the end of the night, like
and when you quit drinking, I was nervous, dude. I was nervous. I was like, Jesus, man. Kelsey brings a lot of people come in to see. But that's the same thing with Blair. You know Blair was big.
Well, then I just basically passed the torch.
Well, I will always appreciate Blair, because when
Yeah.
everybody was going to the right, she was coming to the left.
Blair was huge for Tito's.
She really was.
Huge for
And
Tito's.
that's why, a lot of times we cover her first few every night.
Sorry you're sick, Blair. Blair was supposed to be here with us tonight
I
after
didn't
the
know
Sunset
that.
Grill, but she's sick. She's got the food poisoning, we think.
Oh, no, that's just stomach virus. I had it last week. It's going around.
Bummer.
Yeah, it's going around. Get about 36 hours.
Sorry, Blair.
Yeah,
Enjoy
sorry,
your
Blair.
next 36 hours.
Yeah. And thank you for Tito's.
Yes,
Couldn't have done
thank
it
you for
without
Tito's. We seriously couldn't have. There's a list of people that, you know what we should do one day is we should organize a Tito's Appreciation Day.
Shit, how close? We almost sold that damn bar.
Bro.
Thank God.
I wrote a bullet point and I erased it. But since you brought it up, I'm going to say
Well,
it
I'm not
now.
going to say any names.
No. We're not saying any names.
Well,
I
here's the true
was
story.
so nervous.
So Stoney and I, and it was literally, I'm not going to get into the whole story, but it got to the point where we weren't making enough money, and it was being a little bit of strain on Katie and I, and it really was. When you got a business and it's not, and then finally, I said, Stoney, we got to do something here, and so Stoney went and talked to somebody. And he was the story was this guy was going to have Stoney and I were still going to have somehow 25%. I guess they needed our names on the liquor license. I can't remember the whole story.
Yeah.
And all the guy had to do was buy out. We had a line of credit at South Atlantic Bank. And shout out to South Atlantic Bank for all your banking needs. South Atlantic is there for you, and a local bank.
I bank there as well.
Yes. And go see David Rhodes or Mary Lee. And if they give you any problems, Scott Plyler. He drinks at Tito's too. And
Yep.
So truth be told, the guy, all he's got to do is pay off the line of credit, which wasn't much money. And, we kind of let them in. Remember? They were in for 2
Yep.
weeks. Well, I was having lunch with my attorney.
I almost died that day. I had to go to the fucking
listen,
hospital.
yeah. So this is a true story. So we were going to give it up. This guy was going to take it. The guy gives me a contract, and he's busting my balls to sign it. And just for pure laziness is the only reason I didn't sign it. And sometimes – it could have been divine.
Thank God for that
intervention.
laziness.
Yeah. And that's a true thing. I'm left or right going, I do believe in God. And he does work.
Yeah.
And so I'm eating lunch with Mark Neal, who is a friend and my attorney. And I'm telling, Mark says, how's Tito's doing? And I tell him about it. And I tell him who's doing it. And he goes, do not sign a fucking thing. He goes, bring me that contract. I won't even charge you. And I give him the contract. He reads it and said, don't sign it till the line of credit's paid off. So me and the guy are going back and forth. He's like, you got the signed contract? And I was like, hey, you got the check? And so eventually he just sends me a note, hey, this has fallen through. And I swear to God, it's like the day that he walked out of there, the place started making money.
Dude,
It's ironic.
It was that day too that I think that Short Bar, the day that Short, it was right around that same time, and then Short Bar was the late night bar in the Inlet at that time.
Remember, we used to try to outlate them. We used to try to stay open.
I stayed open until daylight.
Yeah,
to
Jacob
beat
would do
them.
the same thing, just so when people would want to come over.
Yeah,
and which is stupid. But I was right there coaching you through it. I mean,
but we were all on the same page with that, because all we cared about was the bar doing
paying
well.
the bills.
We wanted the bar to do well, and because none of us made any money, any real money back then until we started.
And now and it's not like I make more money at my job, and I love my job, so I don't want to leave my job. But we make enough off of Tito's to justify my wife being a house mom.
Yeah.
And it's nothing anything record, but Stoney and I both know at some point, that train's going to end. But God, man, if I can get 5 more years out of it,
yeah,
that'd be great.
Well, I want to put in the first bid for it when it goes up for sale.
No, I don't think it's not that I don't think it'll go up for sale. We don't own the building. We lease a spot. And we're about to sign another 5-year lease. But, what if that guy sells the building? That's an old building.
Yeah.
So, you just don't know. We would love to own the building if we could do it one day, but we don't. And you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, somebody might go in there and get in a fight and shoot somebody.
We hope not.
Never. And You just don't know. You just don't know what. But
Yeah.
I am insured, or we are insured. Here's how bad Stoney and I didn't know how we did when we first ran the bar. We had that bar for the first 3 years, and we had insurance from somebody who wasn't. And then I went to Wes when he and Will opened up those little things, and I tried to get in some business.
Yeah.
And I gave Wes the policy, and he looked at it. He goes, "Dude, you don't have liquor liability." Wes, we operated for 3 years without liquor liability insurance.
I don't even know what that means, but
That means if somebody comes in there and gets into a fight because they're drunk and beats the shit out of somebody, and they sue us, the liquor liability, we'll pay it.
yeah.
Now, granted, if somebody goes in there and there could be ways we're at fault, but if two guys start arguing in the parking lot and fight, you can't blame us. It's and it's whatever. But we had basically fire and theft, and that's the only kind of insurance. Yeah, bars now, every bar has to have liquor liability insurance. So when you go do your liquor licensing, you apply for it, you have to give them your policy now. They just changed that law like a year ago.
Well, at least we know now.
Yeah, now we know. But Jesus Christ, man, 3 years without liquor liability insurance. It's like driving a car without insurance.
Yeah, I mean,
to Tito's.
Well, see, we were learning. We didn't know any better.
Just wing it, buddy. That's
just wing it. That's what we're going to call the just wing it talk.
I don't know. That's kind of. I don't know. The only problem with talking too much about Tito's, it's so much inside jokes. If we ever want this thing to go outside of the inlet, nobody's going to.
Well, that's the thing. I believe that I've built enough of a I guess a world for people to understand what Tito's is in the earlier episodes, so that if somebody is to listen to this for however many years from now, at least if they do the thing in order, they should be able to get all the references that we're making.
How many Tito's people have you had in here?
I've had Peaches. Was a hilarious
I've
episode.
heard that. I heard the prison talk was great.
Yeah, I had Peaches. I had obviously Wes. I've had Brooke in here forever ago. I had
What did you and
Perez
Brooke
in here.
talk about?
It was when I had Brooke in here. It was when it was still a sports talk.
Yeah.
Because this podcast used to be just a sports podcast.
Yeah.
But
Now, hey, I'd love to do that. I love talking.
well,
sports.
we'll definitely do a sports talk.
Yeah.
But
Fantasy football preview.
That's 100%. And we
Yes.
got to get that. We got to get that going too.
Yeah.
By the way, soon, because preseason starts in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you're in our league and you go to our draft, your feelings better not get hurt if you drafts. Oh man, we're brutal in that.
We
draft.
are not. We are
Yeah.
not kind.
I think every fantasy football draft is brutal though.
Yeah, but then again, if you consider the fact that we've steeped our shit talking at Tito's, not everybody else has done that, and I'm not gonna try to go and one up anybody, but Tito's, when it comes to shit talking, is head and shoulders above any other place I've ever been.
Oh, it's hilarious. It really is.
So yeah, we'll do a fantasy football preview sports talk. But Brooke was on when I did, he may have been episode 2 or 3. I know Asher was episode 1. Asher's on a bunch on the sports talk.
I would think Asher, not even sports talk. I just think Asher would be really good on here.
Yeah, well, we actually talked last night. We were going to record a sports talk, but we ended up just getting bullet points together for another talk later. So
Asher's not an OG, but he's the next generation.
Asher's the next generation.
Well, he's just how you have Degrassi Junior High.
Well,
and then
Asher
Degrassi
showed up
Junior
about
High.
2 or 3 years after we were.
No, he was more like 5 or 6. He may have been in there a
think?
couple of times, but he's a regular
I have no
now.
concept of time.
We've been open for 9 years now.
Holy shit!
9 years.
I remember I moved here when I got the job there, so that I would be close to the bar.
Yeah. So we've been open. It'll be 9 years in November.
Wow.
So, Asher probably he probably dipped his head in a few times, but Asher's a regular now. He's as regular as anybody in there, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's funny as shit.
He's hilarious. He's got no filter, and that's the best comedy.
Well, that's the thing about Tito's. You leave your filter at the door.
Yep.
So,
there's no filter allowed in Tito's.
Oh God! But there's no racist terms either. You're not.
No, but see, that's the thing. We're just as we will unleash that shit talking monster on somebody who is a racist quicker than most, because if somebody says something out of the way, do you remember that time? I'm not gonna say who it was because not to offend the person, but we were sitting there watching some football game, and some person sitting at the bar made some sort of like Muslim reference to whoever was on the TV, and we all just roasted the shit out of this person
What
immediately.
do you got against him? Wes and I one time said a joke, and somebody misheard the joke and thought we were talking about junior college, and we were like, and the guy thought we said something about Jews. And the guy gets up, and he thought the guy next to us said something, and he was, and he thought oh my God, it was awful. So the guy is like, I mean, he's like livid, spit flying livid. And I said, Wes, that guy's pissed off because of something we said. And Wes goes, I know, what do you want to do? And I said, nothing, man. That guy's
This guy's
I
mad.
said, let him settle down. He's really pissed. I said, I don't want to let him get his ass kicked, but he's hot,
Yeah.
and we got it calmed down. But I mean, we do have to be careful sometimes if we don't know people.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think that's as big of an issue now as it used to be, because now we've gotten to where we'll notice somebody who doesn't need to hear something that we might say, and we just won't say it, or we'll wait and we'll write it on the wall in the bathroom. That way, it's at least anonymous.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. But what was your like favorite Tito story? I mean, is there any incident that happened in there that was just like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe we're letting this go on? Because I have mine. And mine
What's yours? You tell yours
mine was
first.
recently, and it's going to be a new thing, because Wes and I texted the guy on Friday night, Andrew Beckwith, who got College World Series and most valuable player, who's playing in the Royals organization. Just got called up, by the way. Not to the majors, but one
The
level.
biscuit?
Yeah, when he had those tray of biscuits, and he was on one end of the bar, and Wes was on the other end of the bar, and he was throwing those things. And I don't know if you were there, but, man, the velocity those biscuits were flying at.
I saw it on Snapchat.
Oh God, it was awesome. And then then I gave Repack had a $50 tab, and I said, if you give him 5 throws at your head, your tab's over. And damn if he didn't, he like JFK'd him. It was like it was so funny. And man, watching those biscuits fly, I can't wait to do it this year. We're gonna get like matzo balls or something that are more doing, and then we'll figure out who will. Because he nailed Scott Adams.
See, there's no anti-Semitic here.
No. It was awesome. It really was.
Okay, so I think that if we're going that route. I think my favorite story is when Dustin Johnson was in there.
Oh my God!
And
I don't know if we could tell, because we always had what stays in the bar stays in the bar. He didn't do anything wrong, did he?
You know, I'm not going to tell it. I'm not going to tell that story. I probably shouldn't, but it's the one where someone. I'll tell you this one off mic when we get done. But there was a story. I don't know if I could get away with telling this, but I don't think Will. This has been years ago, and I think that they won't care. So, Will Hanna left his wedding ring at home one day.
Oh my God, that was awful. That was awful.
I'm going to continue to do this. I'm sorry, Will. I'm sorry, Mary Gray. If this is, I'm sorry, but Will left his wedding ring at home. And if you don't know Will Hanna, he's going to be on the podcast one day, so he'll be able to answer.
Well, you know what? Hopefully he'll loosen up before minute 22, because that dude's funny.
God, he's great.
He is great. And his brother, Patrick Hanna's
Patrick
hilarious.
would be, I was entertaining the fact that maybe I should get both of him and Wes on here. But I want to do individuals first. And that's the same reason why I wanted to get, because I want to do like a spread where we have all of us here, but I know that will be really tough to do as far as like talking over one another. Yeah. It's fine with 2 people, but I think we would all be pretty good at that, especially after I get one round of everybody through here. But Will Hanna was sitting at the bar. It was just me and Will, I think. You may have been there, but I don't know. Will's wife, who had just recently gotten married.
That was Will and Wes were together.
Yeah.
And I walked in afterwards.
Yeah. And she walked in and she sits his wedding ring down. And I mean, Will, when he's sitting at the bar, like if you're not watching YouTube, he's like, Will's got this crazy little like dance that he does. And he's always doing it. And she walks in while he's doing this little dance thing and sits his wedding ring down on the bar in front of him and says, "You forgot something." Without missing a beat, he grabs it and throws it over his shoulder. And like, if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, that one scene where the ring's just falling down. It's like ka-tunk, ka-tunk, where it's just bouncing in the corner like everything was moving in slow motion, and I was just like, "What the fuck is going on?"
I remember Wes.
That's my favorite.
Wes said that ring just never stopped
It
bouncing.
never stopped bouncing.
And there was
It's
nobody
still-
in there but like y'all.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember hearing that story.
Dude, it just never stopped bouncing. But that was probably my favorite.
You know,
Tito
Will
story.
doesn't hang out there that much
No.
anymore, but God knows he was fun when he did.
And I say that's my favorite Tito story. I don't know that that's my favorite one.
What's
That's
the one that pops to mind right now?
yeah, but the one that pops to mind, I can't really tell, which is funny. I'm sure you remember it. But we're sneaking up on the 2-hour mark,
I'm
and
good whenever you are, and I'm fine to stop. I know you said 8:30.
Yeah,
Do you see not that this show's any good, because I don't know how
It's
much you
not.
think, but
as far as my podcast, it's not.
Jesus. Well, that's because I'm radio. I'm here to sabotage.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, I'm talking about as far as a collective. But seriously, though, being from a radio standpoint, I don't know if you've listened to any of the earlier episodes, but as of more recent, I've tried to improve on my speaking abilities
It
and
sounds
all of
great.
these
I
things.
mean, I think you've done a great
How
job.
are we doing so far?
I think you've done great. I think tonight I don't know if anybody else has enjoyed it, but I've enjoyed it. I really enjoyed. I listened to you and Wes last week, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I'm going to tune into some more and go back and listen to some. I'm going to go back and check out my boy Brooke.
Oh man, it don't take long. It's like he might have like 2 minutes of speaking time.
So what did you and Perez talk about?
We talked about just baseball, and Perez was about the same way. It was just in the earlier episodes, the people were a little. I think he was a little skittish about being on the mic or whatever. We talked about just baseball and him
Well, I think
umpiring
life on
and
the road
things.
and
And
stuff would be good.
Yeah.
If he opened it up.
I'm going to get him back on here one day, and that's why I always like to offer. And because I don't drink, I have a plethora of liquor that people have left here over the years.
Wow.
And I say years, over the months. But I just think that it's easier to get people like loose as possible. And
Well, you were offering me, and I knew what you were doing, and I was
Yeah.
like, I don't need it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm used to talking, not for 2 hours, but I'm used to being on the air to the point where I know I'm comfortable doing it. Like I said
Yes.
earlier, talking on TV with a camera in, but I look half the time and don't look half the time because I don't see it. But
yeah, we got a monitor right here too if you want to.
I'm good though. I've enjoyed it, man. I'd love to come back.
Definitely
I
gonna
was
come
all
back.
prepared, like documentaries I've watched. What am I watching on TV? And because I'm guilty on some of these stupid ass reality shows.
Well, that's great that you verse yourself up a little bit on that, because I usually release on Sundays the things that I suggest people to watch and listen to.
Have you watched White Boy Rick yet? I think it's called White Boy. It's a
No.
documentary on Amazon. It's really good. It's about 90s drugs in Detroit, and they pinned it all on this white dude, White Boy Rick. He was only 17. And I didn't realize that evidently if you were smoking any pot or anything and you had more than you needed to, and during that time, everybody would say, "What do you think you are, White Boy Rick? Come on, man!" And you need to watch it. It's really good. And basically, it also covers the demise of Detroit, and they just pinned all this shit on this white guy. And it's not a conspiracy. I mean, he just literally got paroled.
Oh shit!
You just need to watch it. It's really good.
So, White Boy Rick, you got any other gems for the people out there to watch?
You know what? A guilty pleasure, and I made my wife
No
sit
pun
down.
intended, gems.
Yeah, that I watched. I like that. I'm, and it pisses me off that I watch it when I'm up again. But I'm old, man. It's going to do that.
It's going to happen.
I watched Southern Charm Charleston. Does that make me?
Southern Charleston.
I watched that. That's a guilty pleasure.
With the Ravenels.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit, man.
You know what's funny is I've never watched this show, but I've heard enough people talk about it to where I know that he's on it.
Well, he's just, he's in a lot of trouble right now with the whole hashtag Me Too stuff. I mean, I don't think he'll be on the show anymore.
Well, I think there was a huge thing that he didn't, and I may be making this up, but I maybe heard somebody say something that he got in a huge amount of trouble with like Blocaine a while back.
Look at jail. Well, he had more than an ounce, I think. I don't know, I'm not up to date. He went to a party and he got busted with it, but he was sharing it with people. So the charge was intent to distribute.
So
he did 6 months in jail. But he was He was the state treasurer or something, or
Yeah,
or something.
he was high up at that point.
Yeah, and but his problems now are he's got 2 sexual assault allegations out against him.
Spends too much time under the bridge.
Yeah.
Heyo, double entendre.
I love it, but there's a lot of pressure. You got that bridge over under your name.
Exactly. I mean, you got a lot to live up to.
But it's a guilty pleasure, and then I watch a lot of garbage, but I'm big on. I don't know if you are. I'm big on binge watching shows. Like
I am too, man.
Like I never watched Breaking Bad, and then I got sick one time, and man, I think I watched all 8 seasons in like 10 days.
Dude, Breaking Bad only had one bad episode.
Which one?
The one with the fly.
Oh, that was awful. That was awful. Yes, I remember that.
That was the only one, though. Every other episode kept you on the edge of your seat the entire time.
Do you Walking Dead? Do you watch that?
No, I didn't do The Walking Dead.
I'm so sick of Walking Dead.
I didn't do The Walking Dead. I don't do Game of Thrones either. I'm sort of waiting on that to finish so that I can binge.
Binge watch it. Let me just say this about Game of Thrones. The first 5 or 6 episodes is kind of confusing.
Yeah.
But then but it's worth it. It is.
That's what everybody says. There's very few shows that I can stand to watch that are released on a weekly thing. Like Ballers, I'm huge into Ballers. I watch that as it was new.
Have you watched Barry yet from HBO?
No, but I think I've suggested that. Patrick Hanna told me to watch that.
It's good.
That's Bill Hader, right?
Yeah, it's dark, but I like Hader.
Yeah, he's good.
It's dark. Henry Winkler's really good on that too.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, he's good on it. That's the thing is HBO and Showtime and stuff. They've got good shows. I like that Billions on Showtime.
Yeah, Marshall said I should watch that one. I really like Paul Giamatti.
He's great on that.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember the other guy's name, but he was in Homeland, and he was in.
And what
was the Army one? He was on the Army one.
I don't know the Army one.
Jesus Christ! World War II, they were going through.
Band of Brothers.
He was a star of that.
Yeah,
he's really good. And,
I watched the first couple seasons of Homeland. That was a really good show. But
I never watched that. But Wes and my wife love that. And Wes swears on The Wire, and I've never started it.
He was talking about The Wire to me a lot as well. I didn't know anything about it, but yeah, he said it's awesome.
Well, I watched, and I didn't watch it in about season 7. I did a binge thing and caught up with Walking Dead. And I'm up to date on that now, but I'm getting a little tired. It just moves too slow.
Well, I got sick of it in the first season. Like, I realized in the first season, like, they're looking for this little girl. And I'm like, I watched like a season and a half. So, I mean, I was committed. And I was like, I'm done with this. It didn't make sense to me. Like, why don't they just get to water? Atlanta's not far from the coast.
Yeah, you're right. And I always wondered about that in the water. You don't see them fishing or anything. Like
Never.
That.
You don't see them anywhere. There's no water in the whole fucking thing. Like, have you seen them around a body of water at all anywhere?
No, my brother gets pissed off too, but now they're doing it because he used to always go, "Look how fucking well kept the grass is around there. There'd be weeds and shit everywhere." And
very true. Yes. Logical statement.
And it is, but it's just moving really, really slow. I tell you what's awesome is it's about to come on again. Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul.
Have you not watched that? That's a prequel to Breaking Bad.
I know about it. I haven't watched it yet. I know there's a couple seasons on Netflix.
Yeah, watch it. It's as good as anything out there.
I added that to the third thing. I don't know if I want to tell people to watch Southern Charm, Charleston.
No, don't watch it. I'm just saying it's a guilty pleasure. And
let's give him one more. We got White Boy Rick, Better Call Saul. Let's give him one more thing to watch.
I'm trying to think, man. Now you're calling me on the spot.
No. You're fine.
What else have I seen? I got kids, so I've seen a lot of children's movies. Don't go see Jurassic Park, the new one. It sucked.
Oh man, I liked it. I watched it twice.
Did you really?
I like the dinosaurs. I like the dinosaurs.
Come on, the whole concept of that fucking movie. They deserve to live. I will spoil that movie. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. I tell you what was great, and I was burnt out on superhero movies. The damn Avengers movie kicked ass.
See, I had never watched any of the comic book stuff.
Oh man, the new Avengers at Age of Ultron was on point. I go see some movies before I take Jim just to make sure they don't.
Yeah.
And I went and saw that. I took that little bastard to see Thor Ragnarok. And like an hour 40 into it, and about 20 minutes left. Dad, I'm ready to go. I was so pissed because I paid all this money, got this popcorn, and I couldn't even see how the movie ended. So I decided to go see Avengers. I lonely got it. That's what I call it, going by myself.
I do that every time.
Yeah, but you probably go to a matinee or something. You don't go at night, do you? Like on a Friday
No,
night?
I'll go to I'll go to like it'll be daylight in, nighttime out.
You know, my wife, every now and then she'll suck it up and go with me. But, you know, it's probably the one thing that I can't believe I married a woman that doesn't like going to the movies. And my wife's awesome. You know, I love my wife, and I couldn't imagine a better partner for myself. And she tolerates me. But
That's a huge part of it.
And she doesn't, but she doesn't like going to the movies. And so I'll go see a movie by myself. And I used to think people were so weird for doing that.
It's easy. It's cheaper.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's cheaper, and not only that, do you go to the mall?
Yeah, that was a bad day when Frank's closed over here.
It was a bad day when Frank's closed.
Somebody should run for office around here with the promise to bring a movie theater back to the inlet.
Dude, Frank's was the shit. Like, I went to Frank's all the time.
I would like to know what happened, because they weren't losing money.
No, not at all. And apparently they were several months behind on their bills.
Well, I think what happened was, this is a conspiracy guess. You know, they were supposed to put all kinds of anchor stores in that mall. And I think that they never put those anchor stores in. And I bet they told Frank's, we're going to have these anchor stores in. And Frank's was like, you know, fuck you, I'm not paying this. This is a guess. It's a total speculation. Because I can't imagine them not paying their rent. I mean, it's a chain.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that was the rumor that was going around, is that they were behind.
I
And
think
also
they were
that
behind the
Harley
rent,
Davidson had bought it was also another rumor. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that. But you would think it's pretty well set for somebody to step right back in. Maybe we'll get 810 Bowling Alley to come down here. And, you know, 710 was up in North Myrtle. They just went 810, but they can do a 910 down here.
I don't see any reason in the world why, because it's there. The bowling alley,
man.
the theater,
Listen,
everything is
the
still
theater,
there.
like on weekends, was always packed.
Yeah, and I mean,
it was
there's
always packed.
And it's not a small theater, you know. It's like there's a lot of big rooms in there.
This area, for as big as it's getting, you know, I think we've got close in the metro now. I think we got close to 400,000.
Yeah.
There's not enough movie theaters.
Not at all.
You get from Georgetown, Pawleys, Merle's Inlet. The closest movie theater is either the mall or Market Commons.
And obviously, if you're going to drive that far, you may as well go sit in the Lazy Boys.
Yeah, but the problem with the Lazy Boys is it's only like 50 to a damn room.
Yeah.
And which if you're going by yourself, it's no problem, because
Do you sit in the handicap chairs, like sort of at the front, or do you go amongst the people?
I would, but I'm always worried that somebody's going to come walking in. You know, because you get the handicap chair if nobody's there, but if somebody comes handicapped,
Yeah.
you got to get up. And I'm always worried. Like, there was a little faded handicap spot out here, and I parked in it, and I was worried somebody might say something to me.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Well, I could tell there was nothing blue or anything, so I just didn't know. And I still worry about people saying shit like that. Like, hey, you walk fine, man. You don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, and just so we're clear, this is an apartment complex. It's not like a business where somebody's going to pull up and worry about not being able to get in.
It's faded. It probably hasn't been a handicap spot.
Yeah, it hasn't. And
No.
it's
There's no posters. There's a semblance of one that looks like a chalk outline on the ground of it. And that's all.
Yeah, other than me and my couple neighbors here on this side, I don't think, but there's like one car to that whole section down there. So like there's usually only one car there.
Well, Matt came out when
Yeah.
I was there, and he was looking at me, and he didn't know it was me, and I thought he was going to say, "Hey man, that's a handicap spot." And that's about all I think he could. You know, I don't know, but then when I got out, he goes, "Oh man, I didn't know it was you.
Yeah.
You're usually in a Yukon, and you're in a pickup truck now. What the hell are you doing, city boy, in a pickup truck?"
Oh man, dude, I need to get a truck, man. I want a truck. Everybody's got a truck, and I still drive this car about the size of this computer.
Listen, the truck's big, man. Big guys we fit very good in the truck.
It is.
Yeah.
That's probably a good place to wrap it up there, talking about trucks and things.
We went over 6 minutes, dude. You want to be done at 8:30?
We're fine with that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, without you guys listening, there would be no reason for me to have Brother Jimmy here. But I thank you guys for listening to this. If you made it this far, you come into Tito's and get a shot on Repack.
On Repack, man. And tell Repack we love him, and then hit him in the nuts while he's giving you a high five.
Yep, dude.
He loves it. Hey, I got
It's
one
his favorite
Repack
thing.
story, because Katie said, in case you asked me, this is my favorite Repack story. So I'm in there one night about 2 years ago. I'll tell this fact. And Reggie Sullivan's in there, and we're in there talking and doing whatever. And these two girls get into a fight. And I break up the fight, and then like one girl like scratched me. And Repack thought somebody hit me, and he went apeshit, dude. He ripped off his shirt, and he was going, "Who hit Jimmy? Who hit Jimmy?" And we had to calm him down, dude. He was livid, man. Repack's got my back, dog.
He did the same thing one time about this dude was talking shit about Merle's Inlet musicians or whatever, and Repack was like, came to my defense.
Dude, the shirt was off. He took the shirt off. Was like, "Who hit him?" And it was just I got caught in the tickle fight between.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up. I'm sorry. I love you, Repack.
Love you, Repack.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. As far as things to watch and listen to, check out White Boy Rick, Better Call Saul, and apparently I've learned that if you start watching Game of Thrones 2 episodes a week right now, you'll be caught up by the time season 8 comes
kicks
out.
Ass. Barry, watch Barry.
And Barry as well.
Yeah.
So do that. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We're ranked in the top 100 on Podomatic so far.
I'm going to Facebook it, man. The people that aren't still friends with me are still friends. Maybe a couple of them will
we want
listen.
to share the shit out of it.
Damn right. We're going to Savannah. 912.
Good game, James.
Thanks, buddy.
Good game, James. Peace, bitches. All right, now we're out on audio. Now let's get out on video.
Hey.
Peace, bitches.
Peace.
Say deuces to the video people.